What's up guys, this is your favorite fanfic YouTuber, the Fanfic Majesty, and welcome to another amazing video. You can follow me on Patreon for exclusive stories. 10 SS. Chapter 201 Defeat him easily. Advertise here. He didn't dare to confront Xia En anymore. I'm afraid that this guy Xia En will easily defeat him the last time. He also quickly ran back to the Blackpool Pirates, not daring to show his face again. Frieza was also very angry when he saw the timid look of the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. Afterwards, he spoke to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. Captain of the Blackpool Pirates, you are too much in love with 420. Before, didn't you want to work with me to get rid of Xia En? How come you are starting to be cowardly now? Quote. After saying this, he was also waiting for the answer from the head of the Blackpool Pirates. After hearing Frieza's inquiry, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates couldn't help but roll his eyes. Extremely helpless, he spoke to Frieza. Fighting ordinary people, I am really good at it. But fighting that monster, are you sure you can do it? You can't guarantee it yourself, defeat Xia En, and even want to drag me to death together. I won't continue messing around with you. The next time I see Xia En, I will not be able to shoot him again. After hearing these words from the head of the Blackpool Pirates, Frieza was also very angry. He didn't expect that after the guy in front of him got the benefit, he wouldn't help anymore, it was really shameless. Then he also angrily pointed at the nose of the head of the Blackpool Pirates, and yelled at the head of the Blackpool Pirates. Captain of the Blackpool Pirates, you are really despicable and shameless. In the past, I got so many benefits, but now it's good, and I started to turn my face and deny people. Now you hurry up and hand over all those treasures. Quote. After hearing what Frieza said, the head of the Blackpool Pirates also waved to the pirates beside him. Then he said seriously, go and take out all the treasures that Frieza left with us at that time, and return them to him. After hearing the order from the head of the Blackpool Pirates, the pirate immediately started to act. In just a short time, a box of gold and silver treasures appeared in front of the head of the Blackpool Pirates. Then, the head of the Blackpool Pirates spoke to Frieza. Okay, these things are returned to you. 0. And this box of gold and silver treasures is more than the gold and silver treasures you gave me at that time, I will not treat you badly. It can be regarded as a good get-together and a good breakup, you should leave quickly and don't bother me anymore. Quote. After saying this, the head of the Blackpool Pirates waved his hand towards Frieza. Frieza snorted coldly after hearing what the head of the Blackpool Pirates said. He stretched out his hand and patted the treasure box, then took the treasure box into his hands. Then he turned around and left. He also swore that he would never cooperate with the head of the Blackpool Pirates in the future. Because the leader of the Blackpool Pirates is too despicable. The head of the Blackpool Pirates heaved a sigh of relief after watching Frieza leave. But 5.3 was when the head of the Blackpool Pirates thought that this matter was over. The pirates under him also quickly ran in front of him. After seeing the pirates running in front of him, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates couldn't help raising his eyebrows. Then he asked suspiciously, what's the matter in such a hurry, what happened? Chapter 202 Waiting for the pirate's answer. Advertise here. After saying this, he also waited for the pirate's answer. After the pirate heard the inquiry from the leader of the Blackpool Pirates, he hurriedly answered the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. Captain, there is a person named Xia En outside. After hearing these words, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates stood up in fright. Then he walked out quickly. Then he really saw Xia En. At this moment, Xia En is standing hundreds of meters away from the Blackpool Pirates, staring at this side. After realizing this situation, the head of the Blackpool Pirates also let out a long sigh of relief. He also thought about it for a while, and evil came from the gallbladder. He thinks that no matter how powerful Xia En is, he will not be able to defeat himself under everyone's attack. After holding this thought, he also ordered the members under him to take out their weapons. As long as Xia En dares to take another step forward, he and others will kill her immediately. After hearing the captain's arrangement, many subordinates also acted quickly. Seeing that Xia En was preparing to take action, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates also hurried forward. He was going to buy some time for his men. When he came in front of Xia En, he also showed a high-spirited look. Then, he said coldly to Xia En, how did you come here? Don't you know that I don't welcome you? After saying this, he also snorted coldly. Xia En couldn't help frowning after hearing what the head of the Blackpool Pirates said. Then, he said coldly to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. You sure don't welcome me. After saying this, Xia En also looked at the head of the Blackpool Pirates coldly. When the head of the Blackpool Pirates caught Xia En's sight, he also felt abnormal fear. But then, he heard the sound of pulling the bolt of the gun. This voice also made him courageous in an instant. Afterwards, he also said to Xia En coldly, I just don't welcome you, what's wrong? If you guys want to settle accounts with Frieza, don't come to our side to make trouble. If you dare to make trouble, don't blame me for being rude to you. Quote. After saying this, he also gave Xia En an arrogant look. After Xia En heard the words of the head of the Blackpool Pirates, she almost laughed angrily. The guy in front of him cooperated with Frieza to deal with him before. I come to settle accounts with Frieza at this time, and settle accounts with him by the way, isn't it okay? Afterwards, Xia En 157 spoke to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. Before I find Frieza, I also want to settle accounts with you. In the past, you also found me for no reason and teased me. So, I must make you suffer. Next, if you will kneel on the ground and beg me for forgiveness, I will forgive you. But if not, I can only abolish your strength. After saying this, Xia En walked forward slowly. Seeing that Xia En was getting closer and closer to him, the head of the Blackpool Pirates shouted hastily. What are you waiting for? Hurry up and shoot. Chapter 203 Launching an attack on Xia En. Advertise here. After saying this, the head of the Blackpool Pirates quickly jumped back onto the boat. The pirates of the Blackpool Pirates also shot at Xia En immediately at this time. Seeing the countless bullets flying towards her, Xia En smiled helplessly. He felt that the guys in front of him really didn't know what to say. I saw that Xia En condensed armament hockey directly. When those bullets hit Xia En's body, there was also the sound of hard objects colliding. Xia En's footsteps are also not in a hurry. He also continued to move forward. Those pirates were not affected by seeing Xia En. They also panicked instantly, mustering up the courage to shoot out the last bullet in the gun. It also quickly retracted into the cabin. Seeing that many pirates had escaped, the head of the Blackpool Pirates also frowned. Then he looked at Xia En leisurely. He felt that Xia En was really amazing. Relying on himself, there is no way to get rid of this guy in front of him. After pondering for a moment, he also hurriedly ran to Xia En, pretending to be a dog leg. Xia En couldn't help raising his eyebrows when he saw the leader of the Blackpool Pirates showing such an appearance. I feel that this guy in front of me is really interesting. Afterwards, Xia En spoke to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. What's the matter? Have you figured it out? Do you want to beg me for mercy? After hearing Xia En's words, the head of the Blackpool Pirates breathed a sigh of relief. Since Xia En can say this, it shows that Xia En is not going to settle accounts with him. Afterwards, he nodded to Xia En again and again, and said. That's right, I've given in, you're so powerful, I don't dare to fight with you anymore. Xia En nodded in satisfaction after hearing what the head of the Blackpool Pirates said. Then he kept staring at the head of the Blackpool Pirates. The head of the Blackpool Pirates was also a little out of breath. After rolling his eyes, he suddenly remembered the reason. Then, he spoke to Xia En. Look at my brain, how can I let a distinguished guest like you stand outside? Come on board with me and let's talk on board. Quote. After saying this, he also gestured towards Xia En, and welcomed Xia En onto the Blackpool Pirates boat. At this time, many pirates are also looking out. At this time, the head of the Blackpool Pirates was also winking at those subordinates. Let them quickly bring out the food and drinks to entertain Xia En. Those pirates also understood the meaning of the head of the Blackpool Pirates in an instant. Afterwards, he left here in a hurry, it was difficult. In just a short time, Xia En and the leader of the Blackpool Pirates were piled up with food and drinks. After Xia En saw these things, she also, Nuos, shook her head. Then, he spoke to the head of the Black Sand Pirates. I came here, not to eat and drink here. It's about finding Frieza. Tell me about Frieza's movements first. After saying this, Xia En stared closely at the leader of the Blackpool Pirates, waiting for the answer from the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. After hearing Xia En's words, the head of the Blackpool Pirates was stunned for a moment. Chapter 204 Not knowing about Frieza's movements. Advertise here. Then, he hastily explained to Xia En. Xia En, I don't know what Frieza is doing. After saying this, he also scratched the back of his head, acting innocent. Xia En frowned instantly after hearing what the head of the Blackpool Pirates said. The guy in front of him had obviously cooperated with Frieza before. Why is it suddenly said that he will not cooperate with Frieza now? Xia En always felt like the guy in front of her was lying. Afterwards, Xia En said coldly to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. 340. I've already forgiven you just now, don't prevaricate me again. Quickly explain the situation to me. In that case, I can promise to spare your life. But if you continue to prevaricate me and prepare to hide it, then after that, not only you will die, but also the pirates of the Blackpool Pirates will die. You think about it now, I'll give you a minute. Quote. After saying this, Xia En folded her arms and looked at the leader of the Blackpool Pirates with a half smile. After hearing Xia En's words, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates also spoke to Xia En helplessly. Xia En, you really misunderstood. I really don't know what Frieza is doing. You can ask my subordinates, I cut off contact with Frieza before. This guy bewitched me to attack you, so that my obsessed mind wanted to fight against you. After that, I also found that you are very kind after investigation. Not as bad as Frieza said. So, I immediately cut off contact with him and drove him away. After that, I really don't know his movements. Quote. After saying these words, he also had his eyes wide open. After Xia En heard the words of the leader of the Blackpool Pirates, she also felt that the guy in front of him was a bit too much of a chicken thief. He didn't think that the leader of the Blackpool Sea a Day bandit group believed Frieza's words before fighting him. And it's impossible for this guy to stop shooting himself just because he realizes that he is a good person. This guy must have accepted Frieza's favor, and after that, he found himself too strong to deal with it. That's why he cut off contact with Bai. After thinking of this, Xia En also looked at the leader of the Blackpool Pirates with a half smile. The head of the Blackpool Pirates thought Xia En didn't believe him. He also hastily explained to Xia En. Xia En, you must trust me. What I said is real. I'm absolutely not lying, and if you don't believe me, look into it. As long as you find something wrong, you can shoot me and make me pay the price. After saying this, he also looked at Xia En expectantly, hoping that Xia En could believe him. Xia En also nodded slightly at this time, and then said to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. I didn't doubt you, but I was thinking about King Guan Frieza's summer vacation. Afterwards, Xia En was ready to get up and leave. But suddenly, he also thought of the free labor in front of him. Why not use it yourself? Afterwards, Xia En sat down slowly again. The head of the Blackpool Pirates, who had just breathed a sigh of relief, became nervous again at this time. After Xia En saw the nervous look of the head of the Blackpool Pirates, she also smiled. Chapter 205 You don't have to be nervous. Advertise here. Then, he spoke to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. Captain of the Blackpool Pirates, you don't have to be nervous. I'm not going to do anything to you. But I need you to do me a favor. Quote. After hearing Xia En's words, the head of the Blackpool Pirates hurriedly spoke to Dawn. Xia En, you don't need to hide it. If you need my help, I will do my best to help. After saying this, the head of the Blackpool Pirates also patted his chest. After hearing what the head of the Blackpool Pirates said, Xia En nodded in satisfaction. Then he spoke to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. I want you to help me investigate Frieza's movements in the future. Would you like to help? After hearing Xia En's words, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates was also stunned. Afterwards, he also spoke to Xia En in embarrassment. Xia En, just after I drove Frieza away, I started to investigate him, isn't it inappropriate? I feel like doing this is really inappropriate. Can I just help you without getting involved in this matter? After saying this, he also looked at Xia En expectantly. After Xia En heard the words of the leader of the Blackpool Pirates, she also spoke to the leader of the Blackpool Pirates with a half smile. You can choose not to help. But it depends on whether you have the ability to refuse my request. Quote. After saying this sentence, Xia En raised her strength. After realizing Xia En's suddenly berserk power, the head of the Blackpool Pirates sighed helplessly. Then he spoke to Xia En. Okay, since you asked for it, then I will try to investigate it next. Try to help you investigate Frieza. Quote. After saying this, he slowly stood up and walked outside. When Xia En saw that the leader of the Blackpool Pirates made some moves, he didn't move. In Xia En's view, there is no other place to go these days. It's better to stay in the Blackpool Pirates and let the leader of the Blackpool Pirates take care of his own food and drink. Afterwards, Xia En stayed in the Blackpool Pirates as usual. The pirates in the Blackpool Pirates also dare not speak out. 0. Ask for flowers. And the head of the Blackpool Pirates also arranged for the pirates under his command to investigate their movements. Try to come back sooner. In that case, this fellow Xia En will be able to leave quickly. Prevent myself and others from worrying all day long. Many pirates also left here at an extremely fast speed after learning about this matter. Then he started looking for Frieza. Frieza has also arrived at this moment, in a city where Xia En lives. In his view, the most dangerous place is the safest place. And this place just happened to be overlooked by Susanoo and others. Later, Frieza practiced here. The pirates who are the head of the Blackpool Pirates are also constantly investigating. But in the end, nothing was investigated. This made the leader of the Blackpool Pirates very anxious, and he was a little old. He felt that if Xia En stayed here, he would not be able to eat or sleep well. Xia En also didn't have the consciousness to leave, she was always there to annoy the death of the leader of the Black Pirates. Chapter 206 The whole world is looking for Frieza. Advertise here. As long as the head of the Blackpool Pirates can't find Frieza for a day, then he won't leave. In the end, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates had no choice but to go to find Frieza himself. After saying hello to Xia En, he went outside at a very fast speed. Started searching for Frieza all over the world. After searching for a while, he returned to the Blackpool Pirates with his head down and found Xia En. 380. Xia En asked the leader of the Blackpool Pirates with a smile after seeing the leader of the Blackpool Pirates come back. Captain of the Blackpool Pirates, how are you doing? Did you find Frieza's movement? After saying this, Xia En waited for the answer from the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. After hearing Xia En's question, the head of the Blackpool Pirates also let out a long sigh. Then, facing Xia En very helplessly, he opened his mouth and replied. This guy Frieza has slipped off to nowhere. I ran to many places, almost the whole world, but I couldn't find him. After saying this, he also sighed again. After Xia En heard the words of the head of the Blackpool Pirates, she also focused on the expression of the head of the Blackpool Pirates. He is judging whether this is the head of the Blackpool Pirates lying to himself. When he found out that the head of the Black Pool Pirates had a very sincere expression, he also felt that the Black Pool Pirates were fooling himself. It may be true that the leader of the Black Pool Pirates did not find Frieza. Thinking of this, Xia En is not planning to stay with the head of the Black Pool Pirates anymore. I have already caused a lot of trouble for the leader of the Black Pool Pirates, and it is time to leave. There's no need to keep messing with the head of the Black Pool Pirates here. Just like that, Xia En cupped his hands at the head of the Black Pool Pirates, ready to leave. The head of the Black Pool Pirates was also extremely happy when he learned that Xia En was leaving. Afterwards, Xia En was also eagerly sent off to leave. Xia En also shook her head, and then walked outside the Black Pool Pirates. After Xia En left, the leader of the Black Pool Pirates also let out a long sigh of relief. He felt that Frieza was a disaster. If you don't cooperate with Frieza, you will never meet Xia En. In the end, he also made up his mind that he would never cooperate with Frieza in the future. Even if Frieza dared to come here again, he would definitely drive Frieza away. Frieza was also in the city near Xia En's residence, constantly watching. When he found that Xia En's aura did not appear, he felt relieved and bold. Then began to focus on the investigation. When he found out that Xia En was not here, he was also extremely happy. Quickly stepped forward, ready to kill Gellinger, who was alone. But just as he was about to act, he suddenly felt Xia En's aura fluctuating. This made him panic for an instant. 0.5 and then quickly hid, Silk Rich dare not buy. At this moment, Xia En was also helpless, and came to Gellinger. After waving his hand towards Gellinger, he spoke to Gellinger. There is no need to ask anymore, I have nothing to ask here. Next, you can go to practice hard, there is no need to waste time, I will also go to practice. Chapter 207. Advertise here. After saying this, Xia En got into her house. Gellinger shook his head helplessly when he saw this, and then went back to practice. After Frieza saw Xia En come back, he became silent. He also let out a long sigh of relief, and after rolling his eyes, he was also ready to look for the head of the Black Coast Pirates. The last time the two had worked together. Although it is said that the leader of the Blackpool Pirates had scruples about Xia En's strength, and severed ties with him. But in Frieza's view, as long as he discusses it with the head of the Blackpool Pirates, and take out the corresponding property, the head of the Blackpool Pirates will definitely cooperate with him. In this way, he also came to the Blackpool Pirates again. When he arrived at O3, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates also had an ugly expression. He felt that Frieza was really annoying. Then he said to Frieza coldly. Frieza, you are not welcome here, where did you come from, so go cool down. I don't want to work with you on Xia En anymore. Xia En is like a monster, it is absolutely impossible to defeat him. I hope you stop daydreaming too. Quote. After saying this, he waved his hand towards Frieza, indicating that Frieza could leave. Frieza frowned instantly after hearing what the head of the Blackpool Pirates said. Then he spoke to the head of the Blackpool Pirates. Captain of the Blackpool Pirates, why are you so cowardly? If the two of us practice hard, we will definitely be able to kill Xia En. Even if it is a bit difficult, it is not hopeless, why did you just give up? I have already made a plan on my side, but you are about to give up, which makes me very helpless. After hearing what Frieza said, the leader of the Blackpool Pirates also rolled his eyes. Then he spoke to Frieza. You should leave, I don't want to cause the destruction of my Blackpool Pirates because of your grievances. After saying this, he began to drive Frieza away. After hearing these words from the leader of the Blackpool Pirates, Frieza shook his head helplessly. Then he turned around and walked away. This time, the head of the Blackpool Pirates also had a heart. He also remembered the direction Frieza left. Then, he spoke to a pirate next to him. Go and tell Xia En the news, let Xia En come. After hearing these words from the leader of the Blackpool Pirates, that pirate also set off immediately. Afterwards, they rushed to where Xia En was in a hurry. In just a short time, they also arrived outside Xia En's residence. 733. It was not Xia En who came out to meet the pirate, but Gellinger. When Gellinger came here, he also frowned at the pirate in front of him. He didn't know that Xia En was living peacefully with the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. So, when he saw this pirate, he was also very bored. When he was about to kill him, the pirate was busy and said to Gellinger. Gellinger, I came here to look for Xia En. And I still have some news about Frieza, please go and tell Xia En. Quote. After saying this, he also looked seriously at Gellinger in front of him. Chapter 208 News about Frieza. Advertise here. After hearing what the pirate said, Gellinger couldn't help but raise his eyebrows. Then he turned around and rushed towards Xia En's residence. In just a short time, he arrived outside Xia En's room. After gently knocking on Xia En's door, she waited for Xia En to appear. After Xia En heard the knock on the door, she slowly walked out of the room. Then he looked at Gellinger in front of him with confusion and asked. Gellinger, what's wrong with you? After saying this, he was also waiting for Gellinger's answer. After hearing Xia En's inquiry, Gellinger hurriedly spoke to Xia En. Xia En, there is a pirate outside who wants to see you, and he also said that he has information about Frieza. After hearing what Gellinger said, Xia En flashed and came to the front of the Blackpool pirates. Then Xia En looked at the pirate in front of her carefully. After Xia En took a second look, she also discovered that the guy in front of her was from the Blackpool pirates. This makes Xia En very satisfied. Then, he asked the pirate in front of him. Tell me, what's going on in Sha Ti? After saying this, Xia En waited for the pirate's answer. After hearing Xia En's inquiry, the pirate hurriedly spoke to Xia En. Xia En, I don't know the specific situation. If you want to know about this matter, you should also go to our captain. Quote. After hearing what the other party said, Xia En also frowned instantly. But when he thought that he still needed the other person's help, he did not scold him. Then Xia En spoke to the pirate. In that case, then you will lead the way for me, and we will go to see the leader of the Blackpool pirates together. After hearing what Xia En said, the pirate nodded quickly. Then he led the way ahead. After traveling for a period of time, Xia En and this pirate also came to the Blackpool pirates. Xia En also finally met the leader of the Blackpool pirates. Then Xia En asked the leader of the Blackpool pirates. Leader of the Blackpool pirates, tell me quickly about Frieza's whereabouts. After saying this, he looked at the leader of the Blackpool pirates very seriously. After hearing Xia En's question, the leader of the Blackpool pirates also answered Xia En. Xia En, if you follow the path ahead, you will definitely be able to find Frieza. Frieza came to me some time ago and said he wanted to continue working with me. I didn't agree and asked him to leave. I watched him leave from here, and before leaving, he also said that he had made a plan against you. You must be careful. Quote. After hearing the words of the leader of the Blackpool pirates, Zhao Chenjiao, Xia En also nodded lightly, and then prepared to leave. But at this moment, he suddenly turned his head and spoke to the leader of the Blackpool pirates. Then captain of the Blackpool pirates, are you lying to me? If you let me know that you colluded with Frieza, the purpose is to kill me. Then I will never make it easy for you. Quote. After saying this, Xia En also looked at the head of the Blackpool pirates coldly. Chapter 209 I absolutely did not cooperate with him. Advertise here. After hearing Xia En's words, the leader of the Blackpool pirates twitched his lips. He felt that Xia En was too suspicious. Then he turned to Xia En and said helplessly. Xia En, don't worry, I'm definitely not cooperating with him. If I had cooperated with him, none of us would be here now. And I won't be stupid enough to send my men to find you. Quote. After hearing the words of the leader of the Blackpool pirates, Xia En also felt that what the other party said made sense. After nodding, Xia En spoke to the leader of the Blackpool pirates. As long as you don't plan against me, I don't want to be your enemy. I'll see you later. Quote. After saying this, he walked forward along the path pointed by the leader of the Blackpool pirates. 987. The leader of the Blackpool pirates also breathed a sigh of relief after watching Xia En leave. He felt that Xia En was too difficult to get along with. After having a heart-to-heart conversation with him, this guy still doubted me. This was really disappointing. After shaking his head, he also spoke to many of his subordinates. Everyone, let's drive the ship out of here. Don't show up here again. Try not to have anything to do with Frieza, Xia En and others. Quote. After hearing the captain's words, the other pirates also agreed with both hands and feet. They no longer want to have anything to do with Xia En and others. These few times when Xia En came, they would all tremble with fright. I'm afraid that this guy Xia En has a bad nerve and will go crazy here. In that case, they may all die here. Fortunately, the captain made a correct decision at this time and prepared to take everyone away. Otherwise, they would definitely sneak away after that. Afterwards, everyone began to drive the boat and sailed towards the distance. Try not to appear in front of Frieza, Xia En and others in the future. As for Xia En, he didn't know about it either, and he continued to walk along the path of the captain. I want to find Frieza earlier, and then erase Frieza. After walking a certain distance, he also suddenly felt Frieza's aura. Then Xia En used Wukong to fly in the sky. Then looked down from a high place, ready to find the exact location of Frieza. After Xia En flew higher and higher, she also looked at a figure in the distance. After seeing the other party's appearance, Xia En also showed a satisfied smile. Because that guy is Frieza. Afterwards, Xia En rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. In just a short time, he was in front of Frieza. Frieza also felt a breath suddenly coming from next to him. This breath was very familiar. When he turned around, he was also shocked. Because he discovered that the person pressing down was clearly Xia En. Then, he also hurriedly walked backwards. Xia En also smiled coldly at this moment, and then slapped her hard. When Frieza saw this, he hurriedly fought Xia En with a Kaio fist. Because Xia En didn't use her full strength, it didn't hurt Frieza. After Frieza retreated some distance, he also spoke coldly to Xia En. Chapter 210 Why are you so shameless? Advertise here. Xia En, why are you so shameless? I'm not even ready to hit you. Why do you continue to attack me? This is something I really don't understand. Quote. After hearing Frieza's words, Xia En also showed a sneer. Then he spoke to Frieza. You guys can really lie, you went to cooperate with the head of the Blackpool pirates to launch an attack on me. Earlier, I also heard from the head of the Black Pool Pirates that you went to cooperate with him again. And also made it clear to him that you already have a plan to deal with me. I know all these things, but you still dare to talk nonsense in front of me, you really don't know what to say. Next, I will absolutely not keep my hand, and I must kill you. Otherwise, you guys will definitely think about dealing with me. Quote. After saying this, Xia En also flew forward at an extremely fast speed, attacking Frieza. Seeing this, Frieza hurriedly took a few steps back. Then quickly turned around and fled towards the distance. He didn't have any helpers, so he couldn't beat Xia En at all. He had to wait until he had a helper before he could compete with Xia En. Otherwise, he would surely die. He didn't know how many times he had escaped. But no matter how many times I ran away, I got used to it, and I didn't feel so ashamed anymore. Seeing that Frieza still wanted to escape this time, Xia En didn't intend to give Frieza another chance. In the past, Frieza had escaped several times. If Frieza escapes again this time, then he is really likely to lose track of Frieza. In the past, it was the head of the Blackpool Pirates who helped find Frieza. Otherwise, he would never have thought that Frieza would be here. Seeing Xia En is still behind, chasing after, Frieza also ran forward with all his strength. The two of them ran one after the other for nearly 2 days. Frieza was also completely powerless. Then, taking advantage of an opportunity, they quickly got into the ground to avoid Xia En's attack. Xia En kept flying in the rear. After discovering that Frieza had gone around a forest, he disappeared. 0. Please give me flowers. This made Xia En instantly confused. Afterwards, he also began to search left and right, and he was bound to find Frieza. After Xia En looked around, she also found some clues. There were some traces of human activities ahead. In order to find Frieza faster, Xia En is not going to let go of any clues. Afterwards, Xia En fell from the sky and walked forward slowly. Looking at the signs of human activities ahead, it looks like it was left by ordinary people. Since he is an ordinary person, he cannot appear very powerful. Otherwise, he would be a monster in the eyes of those people. If you want to ask them questions, these people will definitely prevaricate. With this in mind, Xia En walked forward slowly. After walking a certain distance, he came here. Looking at the fence surrounding it and the withered grass in front of it, Xia En was also very curious. Don't know who will stay here. And why is it so messy here? Chapter 211 Like a beggar. Advertise here. Just when Xia En was hesitating whether to step forward, he also saw a head emerging from the fence made of wood. The other person had disheveled hair and looked like a beggar. And the other party's eyes are still red. Xia En didn't understand this either. Just when Xia En was about to ask the other party about Frieza's movements, that person also suddenly retracted his head. After a burst of shouts of 367, Xia En also discovered that the closed fence in front was also opened at this time. Out came a tall man. This person's clothes are very simple and shabby. After seeing Xia En, this person's eyes suddenly burst into light. Xia En also felt that something was wrong with this guy's eyes. The other party seemed to be looking at prey, looking at him. Just when Xia En wanted to scold the other person, that person also withdrew that look. Then he bowed his hand to Xia En extremely politely. After Xia En saw this person being so polite, he also smiled with satisfaction. Then, he asked the person in front of him, Your Excellency, I don't know where this place is. Why have I never heard of people living here? Quote. After saying this, Xia En waited for the answer from the person in front of her. The chief of the village in front of him also smiled slightly after hearing Xia En's words. Then he spoke to Xia En. It's very secluded here, and we've been away from the world for a long time. We don't want outsiders to know what we're doing. Therefore, we are not exposed to the public. This is why you don't know we exist. Quote. After saying this, the cannibal tribe chief also smiled. After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Xia En nodded slightly. Then he asked the chief of the cannibal tribe, Then what should I call you? After hearing Xia En's inquiry, the chief of the cannibal tribe also hurriedly spoke to Xia En. The name is just a code name, I am considered the chief here. You can call me chief. Quote. After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Xia En also nodded slightly. Then he asked the chief of the cannibal tribe, Chief, have you seen a man? That person looks strange, but his strength is relatively strong. Do you have any information about him? If so, then I will definitely thank you. I will give you whatever you want. Quote. After hearing Xia En's words, the chief of the cannibal tribe also swallowed a mouthful of saliva. I was also thinking secretly in my heart. If I say I want the flesh of your body, will you give it to me? Of course, this sentence is not dared to say it. These people are weaker than Xia En, and they mainly rely on trickery if they want to get a bite. If you don't cheat the opponent, there is no way to beat 3.3 Xia En and others. After pondering for a moment, the chief also spoke to Xia En. I've seen that guy, and recently, that guy was still passing by our side. And look, this guy is busy. It seems that something is arranged nearby. If you want to know more, you can come to our tribe and chat with me. Quote. After hearing what the chief said, Xia En also hesitated for a moment. Chapter 212. This opportunity can be said to be rare. Advertise here. I also secretly thought in my heart that this opportunity can be said to be rare. If you go in and have a chat with the other party, you can at least find out about Frieza. Later, Xia En entered the cannibal tribe under the leadership of the chief of the cannibal tribe. Frieza, who was watching the situation outside, also breathed a sigh of relief. Then he showed an expression of gloating. Because Frieza knows the situation of this tribe, which is a group of ogres. They often deceive some lonely people, as long as they enter the cannibal tribe. Then you absolutely cannot leave alive. Even if Xia En is very strong, he will definitely be eaten by these ogres in the end, leaving only his bones. Later, Xia simply refused to leave. For when he was before, he was still trying to escape. But I saw Xia En being brought into the village by the ogres. Then he was ready to watch the excitement. Hopefully, by then, we can see Xia En's bones being thrown out. He might as well go there and stomp on the bones to vent his anger. As for Xia En, there was no suspicion at all. In his opinion, the group of guys in front of him must be a tribe formed by a group of expelled people. Seeing how kind these people are, they will definitely not do anything harmful to nature. In this way, Xia En also entered a large house of the cannibal tribe. After sitting on the chair, Xia En asked the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chief, please tell me the information about Frieza. I've been looking for him here for a long time. But I still haven't found this guy, so now I can only rely on you. Quote. After saying this, Xia En looked at the cannibal tribe chief seriously. The chief of the cannibal tribe also grinned after hearing Xia En's words. Then he spoke to Xia En. If you want to know the news about Frieza, there is no need to be in such a hurry. When I was there before, I also felt that this guy was weird. In the end, I also summed up an experience. Quote. This guy wanders around outside my tribe twice every 10 days. Then leave this guy. Since he appeared today, it means that he will not come again until 10 days later. Even if I tell you about his situation, you can't find him. So, you can live in my tribe from now on. My tribe is so big that I won't miss you a bite to eat. Quote. After saying this, the cannibal tribe chief also grinned with black teeth. After Xia En heard the words of the cannibal tribe chief, he hesitated for a moment. Then he cupped his hands towards the chief of the cannibal tribe and spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. In that case, I'm sorry to trouble you. 620. Don't worry, I will definitely pay you later and I won't let you eat in vain. After saying this, Xia En also signaled the chief of the cannibal tribe to find him a place to live. He can rest here. The chief of the cannibal tribe also grinned after hearing Xia En's words. I'm not afraid that Xia En will stay, but I'm afraid that Jen En will say she wants to leave. In that case, they will be at odds with each other. If Xia En stays here, then they will have many opportunities to kill Xia En. In 10 days, there are many ways to make serious patients lose their strength. Chapter 213 arranged a place to stay. Advertise here. Later, the chief of the cannibal tribe arranged a place for Xia En to live. This residence looks extremely neat and tidy, even better than the residence of the chief of the cannibal tribe. Xia En thought that this must be the residence prepared for him by the chief of the cannibal tribe who wanted to entertain him well. But what everyone knows is that this one is specially prepared for prey. Only game animals deserve such a good place to live. In the next 2 days, the chief of the cannibal tribe also frequently sent tribesmen to deliver some food to Xia En. It took them a lot of effort to get these foods. Because they don't eat ordinary whole grains, it takes a lot of effort to get these grains. But in order to be able to eat the flesh and blood of Xia En, a strong man, they also risked their lives. Xia En didn't feel anything was wrong in the first 2 days. But as time went by, he felt that something was wrong with the atmosphere here. Every time he leaves his residence, the tribe members will look at Xia En strangely. At first, Xia En thought that these people must not be familiar with her. That's why you view yourself that way. But as time went by, Xia En also felt something was wrong. The adults were still able to control it, but looked at him with strange eyes. But those children couldn't restrain their gazes. These guys were actually looking at him with ferocious, prey-like eyes. This made Xia En shudder. Afterwards, Xia En also focused on finding some time to think. After Xia En thought about it, the more she thought about it, the more something was wrong. In the past, when I just entered this tribe, the people here looked at him as if they were prey. Then Xia En was ready to investigate the situation of this tribe. He didn't believe that this tribe would hide any secrets. He felt that he could investigate the situation here very easily. But for several days, Xia En gained nothing, and no one said anything to anyone she asked. Even when Xia En took out a treasure to enhance her strength, people here seemed as if they didn't see it. Ignore him at all. As if he noticed something strange about Xia En, the chief of the cannibal tribe also called those in the tribe who could speak to him. Then he spoke coldly to the people in front of him. Please restrain yourself from now on. Whose family takes care of your children? If it was because of these children that Xia En escaped, then which one will serve as rations? W1. After saying this, he also showed a strange smile. The tribesmen also shuddered after hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief. Then he hurriedly assured the chief of the cannibal tribe that they would never make any mistakes again. He will definitely take good care of his children and grandchildren, Lees. After hearing these people's assurances, the cannibal tribe chief nodded with satisfaction. Then he spoke again to the people in front of him. Backquote, go back now and pay attention to me. If Xia En asks anything, just make it up and make Xia En mistakenly think that we are people who have escaped from trouble. Don't let him doubt our true identity. Quote. After hearing what the chief of the cannibal tribe said, everyone dispersed one after another. Chapter 214 to be investigated. Advertise here. Xia En is also more curious about the situation here. The more the investigation fails, the more Xia En feels that this place needs to be investigated. Then Xia En, after thinking about it for a while, prepared for another round of investigation. If you can't find out after this investigation, then leave here quickly. Because after 2 rounds of exploration, I couldn't detect the normal situation, so it must be a place of right and wrong. So, it's better to leave early. Then, Xia En found a tribesman. The other party also seemed very honest. Xia En also took some food she brought with her and gave it to 553. When Xia En put down the food and lowered his head, he didn't notice the honest-looking man standing in front of him. There was a look of disgust in his eyes. When he raised his head, the honest man also showed an honest smile. Xia En also smiled slightly when she saw this, and then spoke. I came here this time just to talk to you about our tribe. You also know that I can't just eat for nothing when I come here. I also want to do something for the tribe by understanding the tribe's affairs. Use this to do your part for the tribe. Quote. After saying this, Xia En looked at the man in front of her with a smile. After hearing what Xia En said, the man immediately wanted to keep silent. But suddenly, he also thought of what the chief of the cannibal tribe said before. Then he pondered for a moment and pretended to be very embarrassed. After noticing the other party's expression, Xia En also hurriedly spoke. If you feel embarrassed, you don't have to say anything. After saying this, Xia En also pretended to sigh. Then he prepared to leave. When the man saw Xia En was about to leave, he quickly grabbed Xia En. Then he spoke to Xia En. I didn't want to tell you about this at first. But AIFJ, I heard you said you wanted to serve the tribe, so I will tell you. Quote. After saying this, he also let out a long sigh. It's like recalling the painful days in the past. In the past, we people also lived in rich places. But unfortunately, one day, a group of pirates suddenly came to the island and massacred our area. We, the people, also managed to escape under the leadership of the chief. Quote. Because I escaped in a hurry, I didn't even take anything with me. After arriving here, we can only dig and build with the help of some nearby plants and stones. If the chief hadn't commanded us, we would have died here long ago. At that time, there were wild animals here. The chief even got bitten in the eye in order to help us. We are also very ashamed of this. Quote. After saying this, the man also shook his head. It was as if he could no longer think about the experience he had experienced before. The more I think about it, the more uncomfortable it becomes. After hearing what this man said, Xia En nodded lightly. Although, he felt that there might be something wrong with what the other party said. But they should be inseparable. Then, Xia En smiled at the man and said. In this case, I will go back first. After this, I will think of some ways to help the chief recover his leg. Quote. Chapter 215 Xia En is silent. Advertise here. After saying this, Xia En followed the man to say goodbye and returned to his house. Frieza also never expected that after 4 or 5 days, Xia En was silent. Xia En didn't come out, not even Xia En's body came out. Who wins and who loses? Could it be that the two sides had a draw? After thinking of this, Frieza also scratched the back of his head. Feeling unusually confused. Afterwards, Frieza was ready to explore. Take a look at what's going on ahead. Is this guy Xia En dead or disabled? Or is he imprisoned? In short, he was too curious about Xia En's situation. If he doesn't understand the reason, he feels that he may not be able to eat well or sleep well. Then he was ready to explore. But at this time, an ogre from a cannibal tribe also walked out. After noticing the other party's movements, he hurriedly hid himself. Prevent being discovered by the enemy. But because Frieza was too close to the cannibal tribe just now, his movements were not so subtle. Saw by that cannibal. Then the people from the cannibal tribe quickly rushed forward and attacked Frieza. The people of the cannibal tribe are too weak to fight alone. Although, they are very powerful when they attack together. So there is no doubt about the result, Frieza also punched him to death. Then his body was thrown into the nearby woods. Then he hid again, waiting for Xia En to appear. He is now also beginning to analyze secretly. Since the cannibals can come out, it means that Xia En may be at a disadvantage. But with Frieza's understanding of cannibalism and tribesmen, these guys couldn't bear their desire for human flesh. Therefore, as long as Xia En is caught, Xia En will definitely be divided and eaten. In that case, Xia En will definitely become a corpse. But at this moment, no bones of Xia En were seen, and the people of the cannibal tribe were not dead either. This shows that the two sides are in an unclear situation at this moment. After thinking of this, Frieza was also racking his brains to think. After he thought for a while, he suddenly understood the reason. 0. Please give me flowers. This must be because Xia En is too strong. No matter how powerful these cannibal tribesmen are, they are not 100% sure to kill Xia En. Therefore, their group is prepared to delay for a while. Then find the right opportunity to attack Xia En. Thinking of this, Frieza also showed a gloating smile. In his opinion, as long as the members of these stone tribes are willing to take action, then he, Frieza, will drum and cheer. If the people of the cannibal tribe are unable to kill Xia En, then he will help secretly. In short, as long as Xia En dies, Frieza will not hesitate to pay some price. Then, he laughed twice and was hidden. This is not a good time for him to appear. Only when Xia En is arrested and Xia En is unable to fight back will the best time come for him to appear again. The chief of the cannibal tribe was also a little helpless. He tried to attack Xia En many times in the past few days. The moves of the cannibal tribe are very weird, and it is not possible for people to perceive their moves. Chapter 216 Confusing. Advertise here. And every time they take action, they are not aggressive. But it is confusing. The moves of the chief of the cannibal tribe are even more powerful, and he can make several ordinary strong men unconscious on the spot with a wave of his hand. But it had no effect on Xia En. Every time she uses a move, Xia En just yawns and then nothing happens. The guy is back to full energy again. During the previous 083, he thought that maybe he was too far away from Xia En. The move didn't work. Then he took the opportunity to talk to Xia En and patted Xia En on the shoulder. Xia En was still in the same state, and finally gave up, so he prepared to put a hallucinogenic drug in the food. This medicine cannot be tasted by people because it is not poison. Even if Xia En has a strong sense of danger, she will never notice anything. But let alone this kind of hallucinogenic drug, even snake venom that can cause people to coma is not affected by Xia En. In the end, the chief of the cannibal tribe couldn't bear it anymore. He feels that if this continues, even if it takes another 10 days, Xia En will definitely not have any problems. In this way, on this day, he also called all the clan members in front of him to prepare for a short meeting. The main purpose of the meeting is to discuss ways to deal with Xia En. Xia En, on the other hand, had nothing to do, so he stood up slowly, ready to explore the situation of the tribe. Not long after he arrived here, he only knew about the tribe through the words spoken by the tribesmen. In this way, Xia En was walking around while the tribesmen were having a meeting. Didn't leave the tribe, but he felt something strange. Because he discovered that there was yin qi underground. This made Xia En feel very confused. Logically speaking, the people of this tribe are very kind. Will their people be buried here after they die? But since it is the people of this tribe who are buried, there will definitely be no yin qi generated. If there is that kind of strong yin qi, there must be great resentment. After thinking of this, Xia En dug up the place without stopping. After Xia En dug up the place, Bian Yi showed an expression of disbelief. Because he found that there were so many bones in the dug underground. These are not the bones of this tribe at all. Because these bones look like the bones of cooked ribs. And there are many tooth marks on these bones. After observing carefully for a while, Xia En couldn't help but feel the hair on his back stand on end. He discovered something unbelievable. That is, this tribe is probably not a primitive tribe, but a cannibal tribe. Afterwards, Xia En thought about the appearance of the people here. Just like that, he instantly understood that this must be the cannibal tribe 1.9. Apart from this, there can be no other result. Then he was ready to leave. But at this time, the chief of the cannibal tribe had just walked out of the big house and came to Xia En's side. Then he looked at Xia En with a smile. At this time, Xia En felt extremely uncomfortable when she saw the other party's expression. Then, he spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chapter 217 See you later. Advertise here. Chief, there are some things on my side that I need to leave. I won't bother you further here, I'll see you later. Quote. After saying this, Xia En bowed her hands towards the cannibal tribe chief, then turned and left. The chief of the cannibal tribe is also preparing to stop Xia En. But at this moment, he suddenly discovered that there were signs of holes being dug somewhere nearby. This immediately revealed his true nature. Then, he faced Xia En with a ferocious expression and spoke. Now that we know the situation here, it's really a bit of a fool's errand to still want to leave. Everyone, take action and arrest this guy Xia En. After hearing the words of the chief of the cannibal tribe, 08 the tribesmen also took action quickly. Each person is holding a spear and wearing many decorations made of human bones. At this moment, they no longer have to hide it. Their true nature was completely exposed. This made them extremely happy. After Xia En saw these cannibal tribe members standing in front of him, he frowned and asked the chief of the cannibal tribe. Do you have to eat me? After saying this, Xia En also looked at the cannibal tribe chief coldly. The chief of the cannibal tribe also laughed twice after hearing Xia En's words. Then he spoke to Xia En. Aren't you asking knowingly? The main reason why I brought you here is to eat your flesh and blood. Otherwise, why would we pay so much to bring you here? You'd better just surrender and be captured. In that case, we can save some energy, and you don't have to suffer more. Quote. After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Xia En also spoke to the cannibal tribe chief. You hateful guy, you really don't know what to say. Are you sure you can cause harm to me with just these crooked melons and cracked jujubes? Even if I give you multiple opportunities, you will never succeed. Get out of my way now, otherwise, don't blame me for being ruthless. In that case, your cannibal tribe will probably be completely destroyed. Quote. After saying this, he also smiled coldly. After hearing what Xia En said, the cannibal tribe chief also lost his patience. In his opinion, the prey in front of him should be kneeling there, waiting for him and others to eat his flesh and blood. But I didn't expect that Xia En would dare to resist. This is really a bit confusing. Then, the chief of the cannibal tribe waved his hand. The people of the cannibal tribe also went crazy in an instant. Started to attack Xia En very quickly. Upon seeing this, Xia En quickly dodged to avoid the opponent's attack. Then, the Kaio fist and the Devil's Light killing cannon, no matter what moves they are. As long as Xia En can be used, everyone will die. The main purpose is to kill all these hateful guys in front of you. But after Xia En unleashed his power, he also discovered something extremely unacceptable. That is, even if he radiates his power and uses full firepower to attack these guys. But the people of the cannibal tribe seemed not to be affected. Chapter 218 falling to the ground and wailing a few times. Advertise here. Even if he was hit by the demonic light killing cannon, he would just fall to the ground and wail a few times. Then he stood up intact and continued to attack him. After noticing this situation, Xia En frowned instantly. Then he carefully explored it with his senses. Then Xia En also discovered that there was a force connecting each other among the guys in front of her. As a result, when they are attacked, everyone can share the injury. No wonder these guys didn't die immediately. Afterwards, Xia En quickly fled into the distance. Xia En knew that if she wanted to kill these guys, she would have to expend some physical strength. And it would be difficult for these guys to hurt him. Once the stalemate between the two sides continues, it will definitely attract many people to wait and see. At that time, even if all these guys are killed, Xia En's strength will also be exhausted. At that time, even if a low-end pirate comes, Xia En will not be able to withstand the opponent's attack. Thinking of this, Xia En did not dare to hesitate and quickly ran away into the distance. How could the chief of the cannibal tribe watch the meat jump out of the big bowl? Then, he also shouted loudly, "Everyone, you can't escape the meat in your mouth. Let's work hard to kill this guy. Then we have a big meal." After hearing the words of the chief of the cannibal tribe, all the cannibal tribe members became crazy. Then he began to make strange screams and chase Xia En. Because Xia En has the skill of Wukong, he can fly in midair. But the people of the cannibal tribe cannot fly. They could only run there, throwing spears at Xia En as they ran, trying to hurt Xia En. But Xia En was able to easily dodge the attacks of those spears in midair. So Xia En has not been injured so far. The people of the cannibal tribe were also gasping from exhaustion. After watching in the dark, Frieza also secretly became anxious. He also didn't expect that the chief of the cannibal tribe could be so arrogant. He actually only asked his people to chase Xia En. Isn't this deliberately giving Xia En a chance to escape? Later, Frieza also felt that if he didn't take action, Xia En might have escaped. It would be a pity if Xia En escaped. Then, he was also ready to take action. But at this time, he also stopped taking action. Because he discovered that the chief of the cannibal tribe emerged from a high mountain secretly. Moreover, this person was holding a staff with a skull decoration on the top. Then, he raised the staff high. Two green flames actually appeared in the eye sockets of the originally lifeless skull. And the body of the cannibal tribe chief also began to emit green smoke, Nuo Jiao. Against the background of the green smoke, the face of the chief of the cannibal tribe also became extremely pale. And his own strength is also constantly rising. When Frieza saw the appearance of the cannibal tribe chief, his brows knitted together tightly. He was also glad that he didn't take action quickly. If he had taken action just now, he would have been recognized as an enemy by the chief of the cannibal tribe and would have been punished. Chapter 219 The competition between Cicada and Mantis. Advertise here. Afterwards, Frieza prepared to be a weasel, watching the competition between the cicada and the praying mantis ahead. I saw that the chief of the cannibal tribe, whom he identified as the mantis, had gathered his strength. There is also a layer of green armor attached to his body at this moment. The body of the whole person also swelled up a lot. He looks much burlier than before. Then he quickly dodged and appeared in front of Xia En. Then Ji Pao fist hit Xia En. Xia En is still playing tricks on those cannibal clansmen. He didn't realize that someone was attacking him in front of him. Before he could react, the fist of the chief of the cannibal tribe had already stuck to his face. Subsequently, Xia En was punched by the chief of the cannibal tribe and flew out. 707 only heard a bang, and Xia En was smashed into the ground. After Nang Xia En came out from the ground, she also rubbed her sore body. After touching his already sore face, he also said coldly to the chief of the cannibal tribe. I didn't expect it, you old guy is hiding something very deep. I thought you weren't that great. I never thought I still had some strength. Quote. After hearing Xia En's words, the chief of the cannibal tribe smiled coldly. Then he spoke to Xia En. Of course I can't let you AIBJ know my true strength. If you could see through my strength so easily, you wouldn't stay here obediently. I can't kill you easily. Quote. After saying this, the chief of the cannibal tribe also laughed twice. The figure flashed and disappeared in place. When Xia En saw the chief of the cannibal tribe disappear, he jumped up from the ground too. As Xia En predicted, the chief of the cannibal tribe really launched an attack on the place where he was originally standing. I saw the chief of the cannibal tribe holding a staff, and slammed the end of the staff inlaid with white bones fiercely in front of him. The place where Xia En was standing was smashed by the chief of the cannibal tribe, and a huge pothole appeared immediately. Seeing that he failed to injure Xia En, he took advantage of the victory and continued to attack Xia En. Seeing this, Xia En smiled coldly, and then joined the group of the cannibal tribe. Now he wants to see if the chief of the cannibal tribe will throw a rat weapon. After seeing Xia En rushing forward, the cannibal tribesmen also prepared to attack Xia En. But at this time, Xia En suddenly burst out with murderous aura. The strong murderous aura shocked the people of the cannibal tribe, and no one dared to move. Xia En also found that the chief of the cannibal tribe stopped. Xia En also believes that the chief of the cannibal tribe must not dare to harm these tribesmen. But just when Xia En breathed a sigh of relief, the chief of the cannibal tribe flew to Xia En with murderous intent. He ignored the pleas of those tribesmen and began to attack Xia En like a madman. Nearly a dozen cannibal tribesmen were killed along the way. Realizing that the chief of the cannibal tribe was so cruel, Xia En also felt that it might not be appropriate to confront this guy. It's better to leave quickly. Otherwise, even if this guy is killed, he will bite off a piece of meat before dying. Chapter 220 made the decision. Advertise here. In this way, Xia En also made a decision. He quickly flew away into the distance. Just when Xia En was about to leave this area, a figure that was very familiar to Xia En suddenly appeared in front of her. When Xia En realized who the person in front of her was, he then noticed a scorching light passing through his left shoulder. And he also lost the energy to move forward, and his whole body fell downwards. Upon seeing this, the chief of the cannibal tribe quickly ducked behind Xia En, swung the staff, and hit Xia En hard on the back. Xia En's body also heard a burst of sore bones. Afterwards, Xia En fell to the ground and passed out. It was noticed that Xia En was seriously injured by the cannibal tribe chief who struck him with a staff. Frieza also showed a satisfied smile. The chief of the cannibal tribe did not relax his vigilance at this time. Because the Frieza who appeared in front of him didn't know whether he was an enemy or a friend. Even if he helped him take action against Xia En. But Bao Bukchi, this guy is planning to catch him and others in one go. Then, he looked at Frieza with cold eyes. Frieza also rolled his eyes after noticing the cannibal tribe chief's gaze. Then he spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe with great helplessness. Chief of the cannibal tribe, why are you looking at me like this? I helped you catch Xia En, you should thank me. I gave you such a good ingredient, no matter how much you say, you should say thank you to me. Instead of looking at me like this. Quote. After hearing what Frieza said, the chief of the cannibal tribe also said coldly to Frieza. I don't know you, so don't pretend to be close to me. Tell me quickly, who are you and what are you doing here? Answer truthfully, otherwise, I will definitely eat you as food. Frieza did not get angry when he heard the words of the cannibal tribe chief, but laughed twice. Then he spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. You are quite interesting, you actually dare to threaten me. Aren't you afraid that I will wake up Xia En and then join forces with Xia En to attack you? After saying this, he also stopped smiling. He looked at the chief of the cannibal tribe with sadness. 0. Please give me flowers. The chief of the cannibal tribe has been through great storms for so many years, but he was actually frightened by the look in the eyes of the guy in front of him. After realizing that he had lost his composure, the chief of the cannibal tribe also took a step forward with an ugly expression. Then, he also spoke fiercely to Frieza. You think my current Xia En is already in a coma, let alone Xia En is not in a coma, I'm not afraid even if you two join forces. Point 0. Frieza also smiled at this time. He wasn't going to talk to Frieza anymore. Then, he faced Taguchi, the chief of the cannibal tribe, with a straight face. Okay, I won't harp on you anymore, I'm here today. There is mainly one thing I want to tell you. Quote. The cannibal tribe chief couldn't help but raise his eyebrows after hearing Frieza's words. Then he asked Frieza, tell me, what's the matter? Frieza was also a little confused after hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief. He didn't expect that the guy in front of him was quite easy to talk to. In fact, he had some misunderstandings about the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chapter 221 That's all secondary. Advertise here. The cannibal tribe chief was just a little curious about what Frieza was going to say. After listening, whether he helps or not is secondary. Frieza also cleared his throat, and then spoke seriously to the cannibal tribe chief. If you want to eat Xia En, I won't stop you. But I hope you can torture him while he is alive and let him endure the pain of torture. In that case, you can be considered as repaying my 170 help just now. Quote. After saying this, he also waited for the answer from the chief of the cannibal tribe. The cannibal tribe chief hesitated for a moment after hearing Frieza's words. Then he nodded. He nodded in agreement, not because he wanted to help Frieza. It's because these tribesmen have some injuries, and they must heal their injuries before they can devour the flesh and blood of the strong. If he devours the flesh and blood of a strong man when he is injured, it is likely that the power in Xia En's flesh and blood will be wasted. In that case, something would be inappropriate. Seeing the cannibal tribe chief nod, Frieza also smiled with satisfaction. He arched his hands towards the chief of the cannibal tribe in front, and then spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. In this case, we will meet again later. Don't forget your promise. I'll take my leave now. If we have a chance to meet in the future, we can catch up on old times. After saying this, Frieza stopped talking and flew away at a very fast speed. The cannibal tribe chief watched Frieza leave and also looked down at Xia En. With just such a glance, he couldn't help but salivate. He felt that Xia En's flesh and blood were really delicious. As long as he devours Xia En, his strength can be increased countless times. But considering that his own people were unable to withstand Xia En's strength when they were injured, so, he can only hold back the hunger in his heart. At this time, the people of the cannibal tribe also gathered around and asked the chief of the cannibal tribe in a hurry what to do next with Xia En. At this time, the chief of the cannibal tribe also spoke to these tribesmen. Go and lock up Xia En. After hearing the words of the chief of the cannibal tribe, those tribesmen felt a little pity. 0. But considering their own injuries, they didn't say any more. In a hurry, he started to go forward and tied Xia En up. Then he brought Xia En to the cannibal tribe. He found a random place and locked him there. And in order for Xia En to escape, these people also bought many large traps for hunting wild boars near Xia En. Immediately afterwards, he began to recuperate. Xia En's side gradually turned around this afternoon. After waking up, he also found that there were many chains tied to his body. Xia En was also very disdainful of this, and with a strong shock, these chains were shattered by Xia En. Then at 3.3, Xia En also stepped outside. At this moment, Xia En felt that several bones in her back had been broken. When walking around, you can feel the pain in your body. But even if it is pain, we have to endure it. If you stay here, your injuries will never recover. You have to leave here. If you don't leave here, not only will your injuries not recover, but you may even die here. Chapter 222. A sharp pain in the left foot. Advertise here. Just after Xia En took 2 steps outward, he felt a sharp pain in his left foot. Looking down, he discovered that a huge trap appeared under his feet. Xia En also hurriedly lifted her leg slowly and endured the pain to pull out the iron thorn from the tree root stuck in her foot. Afterwards, Yuan and Fu continued to walk out. But then, he felt another pain in his left foot. A huge iron clamp was also clamped on Xia En's leg. That huge iron clamp was clearly used to hunt large predators. I didn't expect it to be used on myself. Thinking of this, Xia En also smiled bitterly. After forcefully opening the iron clamp, Xia En continued to move forward. 10. But at this moment, the chief of the cannibal tribe also walked out of the darkness. Then he said to Xia En in a cold voice, Xia En, don't even think about leaving. We have set many traps here. Even if you go out, there will definitely be no good meat left on you. If you don't feel sorry for yourself, we all feel distressed. Your flesh and blood is already ours. It is really abominable to consume our things so casually. Now hurry back and I can torture you less. But if you continue to go your own way, don't blame us for being rude to you. Quote. After saying this, the chief of the cannibal tribe also looked at Xia En with pity. After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Xia En also snorted coldly. The guys in front of me are ready to eat me, so what do I have to be afraid of? Then Xia En continued to move forward. But the chief of the cannibal tribe took action instantly, and his palm was printed on Xia En's heart. Xia En was also hit directly by the opponent's palm. Seeing Xia En who had passed out on the ground, the cannibal tribe chief also frowned and thought for a moment. Then it suddenly occurred to me. Under the place where the food was kept, there seemed to be a water prison filled with water. After thinking of this, the chief of the cannibal tribe also recruited several tribesmen. Let them send Xia En to the water prison. Those tribesmen were also very happy. But as the saying goes, extreme joy brings sorrow, these guys actually forgot, set up those traps nearby, and fell into them one after another. Everyone screamed. The chief of the cannibal tribe rolled his eyes when he saw this, and then helped the few people escape from the trap. Then he personally sent Xia En to the water prison. After placing Xia En in the water prison, the cannibal tribe chief left here. And Xia En also woke up in a daze the next morning. At this moment, he also felt that his consciousness was a little blurry. When he looked down, 640 also discovered that he was in a water prison at the moment. The water here was very turbid, and when Xia En raised her left arm, she also found that the wound was a little inflamed. This is not more serious, the injury to the foot is even more serious. And if your feet have been soaked in water, the inflammation will definitely be more serious. No wonder I feel groggy at the moment. Next, Xia En also thought of ways to save herself. There are no medicines here, and you have to be submerged in water all the time if you are trapped here. After pondering for a moment, Xia En was ready to calm down and practice, absorbing more nearby spiritual energy. To resist the invasion of diseases. Chapter 223 Slow Recovery from Injury. Advertise here. If you absorb more spiritual energy, you can ensure that your injuries recover slowly. Then Xia En took action. He just sat there cross-legged. The whole person was floating in the water. But Xia En still didn't change her actions. As Xia En practices, the nearby spiritual energy gathers towards Xia En's body as if it is being pulled. Xia En's wounds, which had been soaked in water and were somewhat bloody, were slowly recovering at this time. And some black blood began to flow out of the wound. Xia En's complexion also began to slowly return to normal. 5 days passed in a row, and Xia En felt that her feet no longer hurt so much. Xia En knew that at this moment, her injuries had fully recovered. As long as he is given another 5 days, Xia En can ensure that he can return to normal. Just when Xia En was thinking this, the chief of the cannibal tribe slowly walked in from outside. Seeing this, Xia En quickly pretended to be half dead. After noticing Xia En's appearance, the chief of the cannibal tribe nodded with satisfaction. He was afraid that Xia En was up to something, and in that case, he would have to put in more effort. Then, the chief of the cannibal tribe spoke to Xia En. Wake up. If you wake up, just wait for death to come. In 5 days, I will let you die in our mouths. After saying this, the chief of the cannibal tribe left. When he came here, he wanted to see Xia En's condition. When he discovered Xia En's miserable appearance, he also breathed a sigh of relief. The second thing is that they want Xia En to die in despair. A person is very desperate when he knows when he will die. Xia En was not what the chief of the cannibal tribe expected. After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Xia En almost laughed out loud. He planned to take advantage of these 5 days to quickly recover from his injuries. Then use this to improve some strength and jump out from here. At that time, you can look for opportunities to counterattack and try to kill all these guys. Xia En is not a kind person. When others treat him well, he returns the favor twice as much. When others treat him badly, he will fight back tenfold. The chief of the cannibal tribe almost killed Xia En. Even if he didn't kill Xia En, he always wanted to devour Xia En's flesh and blood. Xia En now also wishes that the chief of the cannibal tribe would die all of a sudden. But Xia En knew that this idea was impossible. He must wait until he recovers his strength and attacks the chief of the cannibal tribe in person, then the chief of the cannibal tribe will die. After Xia En had been thinking wildly for a while, she didn't dare to waste any more time. He closed his eyes and began to seize the time to recover from his injuries. In this way, Xia En returned to her previous state again. Time flew by like this, and Xia Qianhaoan didn't know how many days had passed. Because he has been in a water prison, there is no daylight here, and it is pitch black all day long. Xia En can only recover based on her own injuries, to infer the passage of time. When Xia En felt that his injuries had completely recovered, he also knew that 5 days had passed. I must act quickly, otherwise, the chief of the cannibal tribe would probably bring a group of people to deal with him. Chapter 224 The Cannibal Tribe's Territory. Advertise here. Then, Xia En slapped the iron fence in front of her hard. The iron fence exploded with a bang. Xia En also slowly walked out from the gap. When Xia En was about to leave from above, he suddenly noticed a flash of light in front of him. This made Xia En also feel surprised. He also gathered the power in his hands, letting the power shine out at this moment, lighting up the road ahead for Xia En. Xia En looked forward and found a gap the size of a fist in front of her. The bright light emanates from the missing hole. After thinking for a moment, Xia En was ready to leave from here. Then here we are waiting for the arrival of the cannibal tribe chief and the cannibal tribe members. In that case, he can completely use this as a place to fight and wipe out all those hateful guys. After thinking of this, Xia En slowly moved forward. Xia En did not use all her strength in an instant to shatter this place. Because he knew that this place was still the territory of the cannibal tribe. If you act too recklessly, you will definitely attract the attention of those guys. Originally, these guys thought they were injured. In that case, these guys will definitely relax their vigilance when they are against themselves. And he can take advantage of this opportunity. With this idea in mind, Xia En also worked hard and slowly to cause the fields in front to vibrate. This will cause all the soil layers in front to collapse. As Xia En's strength gradually increased, the dirt in front began to disperse to both sides at an extremely fast speed. In the end, Xia En finally opened up this channel. Then Xia En also walked forward slowly. After walking a few steps, Xia En also discovered something was wrong. Because this place is actually covered with many metals. Xia En was not ready to move on, but sat there to recover her strength. After a while, Xia En also felt that her physical strength had almost recovered. Then he breathed a sigh of relief and prepared to move forward. But as soon as she took a step, Xia En stopped there. Because he found that there were many holes on both sides of the wall. If someone with trypophobia sees this scene, they will definitely go crazy. At this moment, Xia En is also thinking with divergent thinking. Combine the metals we saw before, and then combine these holes. Xia En also understood instantly that this place is full of traps. And the rear of the mechanism must still be a spring device. As long as he does not move forward, he will be shot by many arrows. After thinking of this, Xia En also grabbed a ball of soil next to her. After baking it with strength, he threw the extremely hard stone forward. When the stone bullet fell on the ground, it triggered the firing of many arrows. These arrows shot the stone into pieces in just an instant. And those arrows did not disappear after they were fired. Instead, he went to the hollow opposite. Then all these arrows disappeared without a trace. Xia En also relied on her keen perception just now to feel the extraordinariness of the previous arrow. There is a sharp arrowhead at each end of the arrow. After shooting out of the previous hole, it entered the opposite hole in an instant. Chapter 225. Advertise here. Then Xia En also heard some mechanical lag sounds. Xia En also understood the situation here immediately. These arrows can be fired back and forth. Shooting from one hole to the other hole, it can be accommodated by the activity of H in the other hole. In this way, it waits for the arrival of the next intruder, and then launches again. In short, these arrows can be used as long as they are not damaged. It can be said that it is too insidious and vicious. Xia En doesn't know who designed this mechanism. But it can be seen from the superb skills of this mechanism that the other party is really powerful. Regardless of whether the other party is shady or not, someone who can set up such a mechanism is an extraordinary person. Later, Xia En also shook his head. Now is not the time to praise the other party. Instead, we should find a way out of here. Although this mechanism is very powerful, Xia En believes that she must be able to think of a way to leave this place. Then Xia En threw a stone made of soil forward again. After the stone fell to the ground, it was shot into powder by many arrows just like the previous stone. After Xia En was silent for a moment, she quickly stood up. After throwing a stone, he took advantage of the opportunity for the arrows to fly out and struck out with the Kaio fist. One punch knocked all the arrows to the ground. Xia En repeated his old trick and drew out all the arrows. With the successive attacks, the number of arrows became less and less. It turned out to be densely packed, but in the end only a few sporadic ones shot out. Xia En also walked forward slowly. But then, they encountered a level again. In front is a bronze bull with 4 wheels inlaid under its feet. There are many long iron pillars around the cow's body, and the iron pillars are hollow. Xia En also thinks that this Tianyu must have some clues. Then Xia En also frowned and walked forward. When approaching the bronze bull, the bronze creature suddenly started to move. From its mouth and the long pillars on its body, flames began to spray out. Xia En was extremely helpless when she saw this. He didn't expect that the mechanism here was so sophisticated. Then Xia En quickly dodged back and forth. Request flowers 0. But as time went by, he also expected something bad. Because the oxygen in this space is consumed too quickly. It was quite sufficient just now. Now Xia En feels a little suffocated. If this bronze bull continues to breathe fire, then Xia En will not be burned to death by this bronze bull. I will also suffocate here. 0. Then Xia En quickly slapped a palm forward at this moment. From the palm of his hand, cold air also began to emanate outwards. The cold air also temporarily froze the bronze bull. But the bronze bull did not stop spitting fire. Upon seeing this, Xia En quickly stepped back because the bronze bull was about to explode in the next moment. With a rumbling sound, the bronze bull also dispersed in time. Xia En also condensed an energy barrier to shoot the bronze fragments towards him. They were all shot to the ground. Then Xia En also looked at the remaining devices of the bronze bull in front. The original bronze bull was not that exquisite either. This guy just has a more delicate looking shell. The inside is just connected to the fuel power. Chapter 226. Advertise here. There are several leads on both sides. As long as someone enters, one of the organs of the bronze bull will instantly pull sparks from the friction. Use this to ignite the fuel. Even if Xia En didn't attack the bronze bull, the fuel in the bronze bull wouldn't last long. Afterwards, Xia En didn't think about it anymore. He was going to continue to move forward. Along the way, Xia En encountered many traps. Moreover, the September 17th barriers set up by these machines are all kinds of strange things. There are all kinds of trigger methods, some can be triggered by stepping on them, and some can be operated automatically. These formation breaking methods along the way also made Xia En suffer a lot. But fortunately, Xia En was able to use her own power to destroy these mechanisms. Just when Xia En broke the trap, the people from the Time Tribe were also ready to find Xia En. I saw that Gellinger had also arranged everything well at this time. Let the clansman boil the water first, and he did not enter the ground from the underground passage. I want to see how Xia En is doing. When he found the water prison where Xia En was just now, he was also suddenly stunned. Because he found that there was no panting inside. Afterwards, the chief of the cannibal tribe made a careful investigation with his strength. If you don't investigate, you don't know. Once you investigate, you will be shocked. He unexpectedly found that there was no one here, which made him a little shocked. After rubbing his chin, the chief of the cannibal tribe suddenly turned his head and looked at the passage opened by Xia En. The chief of the cannibal tribe also hurriedly chased after him, trying to capture Xia En who had escaped. At the moment, Xia En is at the last level of this organization. The last mechanism is really difficult to break. Because the mechanism in front is a huge iron gate, blocking people who leave. The iron gate is covered with densely packed small protrusions. As long as you observe carefully, you will find that these tiny places are all steel needles as thin as a cow's hair. There is also some purple color appearing on this. No need to guess, it must be poisonous. If he pushed the door hastily, his skin would definitely be pierced by these poisonous needles as thin as a cow's hair. Then send those venoms into the body. Xia En also bombarded the iron gate with force. The iron gate was so strong that it didn't move at all. It directly absorbed the power from Xia En. Afterwards, Xia En was also planning to look for some institutions nearby. Such a sturdy device must have a mechanism. Otherwise, no one will be able to open it. And the chief of the cannibal tribe also continued to move forward slowly. Looking at the destroyed devices along the way, he was also secretly speechless. The device inside was something he had seen before, but had never been dismantled. The mechanism here is very sophisticated, and I don't know who set it up. At that time, he wanted to break the mechanism here, but he wasted the lives of many clan members. In the end it was all over. Unexpectedly, this guy Xia En is actually more powerful than him. Directly broke so many organs. Afterwards, the chief of the cannibal tribe increased his pace by 3.0 and rushed forward, trying to catch up with Xia En earlier. The chief of the cannibal tribe doesn't know where Xia En is. And I don't know which level Xia En was stopped by, or whether Xia En has already left. After finding Xia En, he also found that Xia En was looking around. Xia En was thinking divergently at this time, and suddenly felt a sense of peeping. Chapter 227 All recovered. Advertise here. Turning his head suddenly, he saw the chief of the cannibal tribe staring closely at him from behind. Then Xia En said coldly to the chief of the cannibal tribe. It turns out it's you. No wonder, it seems like Lion Majesty is staring at me. Get out of here now, my strength has been restored. You don't have the help of your tribe, and you want to make things even more difficult for me. Don't mess with me now. I want to concentrate on breaking this mechanism. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Quote. After saying this, Xia En stopped talking to the cannibal tribe chief. How could the chief of the cannibal tribe accept Xia En's provocation? After hearing what Xia En said, he immediately became angry. Then, he grabbed the staff directly from his hand. 14. Two green-colored will-o'-the-wisps instantly appeared in the skeleton's empty pupils. Seeing that the other party had a disagreement, Xia En launched an attack on herself and raised her eyebrows. His face instantly turned ugly. The chief of the cannibal tribe slammed his staff in front of Xia En. Xia En at this moment, Wang Quan is almost ready. After seeing the cannibal tribe chief attacking, he punched out. The chief of the cannibal tribe also didn't expect that Xia En was so fast now. He was able to react in an instant. Not only dodged his attack, but he was also ready to attack. Afterwards, the chief of the cannibal tribe hurriedly activated the power in the staff. The skull instantly grew larger and stood in front of the chief of the cannibal tribe. All the power of Xia En's punch was poured into the skull. The chief of the cannibal tribe also took this opportunity to quickly kick Xia En with his whip kick. At this time, Xia En also stepped away with a half smile. The chief of the cannibal tribe whipped his leg directly on the iron gate. In an instant, countless steel needles as thin as ox hair pierced the skin of the cannibal tribe chief. The chief of the cannibal tribe also felt a pain in his leg. Then he quickly backed up. Looking down, I suddenly discovered that the area where I felt the pain just now had begun to turn black. There were even signs of decay. After noticing this scene, the cannibal tribe chief used the skull to touch his leg without saying a word. In just an instant, the venom under the skin was absorbed by the skull. After seeing this scene, Xia En also became thoughtful. I was also thinking secretly in my heart, since the skull in this guy's hand can absorb venom. Then can I take this guy's skull off and use it for myself? While Xia En was thinking, the chief of the cannibal tribe also spoke coldly to Xia En. Xia En, you are so hateful and despicable. 767. After hearing what the chief of the cannibal tribe said, Xia En also smiled. Then he spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. To deal with upright people, I will definitely fight against your people. And to deal with a despicable and shameless person like you, we must use this unconventional method. You don't have to say anything wrong about me. If you say it's not mine, I won't listen. Quote. After saying this, he sat cross-legged on the ground. The chief of the cannibal tribe is also preparing to move his body. Nan Chongkang is approaching. But as soon as I walked around, I found that my right leg was still a little uncomfortable. Chapter 228 The poison has been driven away. Advertise here. Then, he also looked down at his right leg. The poison on his right leg has been expelled. But the damage caused by the previous poison was not eliminated. At this moment, there was also a piece of festering flesh on his right leg. Then, he hurriedly sat there cross-legged. Since Xia En did not attack him, he would recover his legs first. Without anyone to help him, it would be very difficult for him to compete with Xia En. Moreover, Xia En is a little stronger, and she suffered some injuries. Even though the injury was minor, If something went wrong during the battle with Xia En, he would definitely die. Therefore, he must first restore his strength properly. Then fight to the death with Xia En. At this moment, he also secretly regretted it. Because before, his tribesmen clamored to come in with him. But because he thinks these tribesmen are too annoying. Therefore, he did not bring those tribesmen. It's better now, I have to fight against Xia En alone. In this case, it is really not an advantage. Xia En didn't move. He was thinking about how to snatch the vice admiral's staff from the cannibal tribe chief. He cannot act recklessly, he must be wise. Because the chief of the cannibal tribe can grab the staff before he dies. Therefore, Xia En cannot harm the life of the chief of the cannibal tribe. Once he is ready to harm the life of the chief of the cannibal tribe, this guy will break the pot. If you don't hurt this guy's life, how can you snatch the staff from your hand? After thinking about it, Xia En was also ready to discuss it with the chief of the cannibal tribe. Then, Xia En spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chief of the cannibal tribe, you are no threat to me now. And I can kill you. You have no way to contact any clan members outside now. So, I can give you a chance to live. But you need to fight for it yourself. It depends on whether you want it or not. After saying this, Xia En also looked at the cannibal tribe chief with a smile. After hearing what Xia En said, the chief of the cannibal tribe frowned and looked at Xia En. Then, he said coldly to Xia En, "What on earth do you want to do?" After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Xia En also spoke to the cannibal tribe chief. "Since you asked, I will no longer hide it. I want the staff in your hand and you will teach it to me. In that case, I'll let you go. Quote, if you don't hand it over to me, then I'm sorry, I have to erase you even if I put in some effort. I hope you can consider it." Quote. After saying this, Xia En folded her arms and stared at the cannibal tribe chief. Although Xia En didn't move, her power was already spreading and she was always ready to take action. The chief of the cannibal tribe was also aware of Xia En's intention. He also frowned and stared at Xia En. Wang Wanghao, after looking at it for a while, he also gave in. Now he has some injuries, which has completely worsened his physical fitness. If he hadn't been injured, he could have turned himself into the powerful state he was before. But now that he is injured, the accumulated strength will flow slowly along the wound. That state can't last long. As long as he escapes from that state, he will escape from the experience. Xia En only had to resist his attack for a while. Chapter 229. Will you go back on your promise and do something to me? Advertise here. After that, he can be killed easily. But if the staff is handed over easily, there is no guarantee that Xia En's guy will not go back on his promise. Then, he asked Xia En, if I give it to you, will you go back on your word and take action against me? After hearing what the chief of the cannibal tribe said, Xia En also spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe in a cold voice. Chief of the cannibal tribe, since I have mentioned this matter to you. Rather than grabbing it directly, isn't it just negotiating with you? Why don't you believe me? After saying this, Xia En looked at the staff in the hand of the cannibal tribe chief. The chief of the cannibal tribe nodded after hearing Xia En's words. Then he held the staff and walked towards the way he came. 997 Xia En didn't stop him either, and then heard a sound breaking through the air. Xia En suddenly raised her hand and took over the power. The chief of the cannibal tribe also quickly moved towards the original location of the water prison. He was going to call all the tribesmen over and let them start the harm-sharing state again. In this way, Xia En will be wiped out. Now this place is a dead end. As long as you bring your tribe to Xia En, you will be the turtle in the urn. It can be easily captured by myself and others, and there is no need to worry about Xia En being able to escape. BEBC, why doesn't Xia En know the thoughts of the chief of the cannibal tribe? He also showed a joking smile. The main reason why he wanted the staff was to prepare to break the mechanism here. Even the chief of the cannibal tribe came with his people. Xia En was also able to leave easily before they arrived. Then, Xia En began to use the staff to touch the steel needles that were as numerous as hairs on the iron door. The poison on these steel needles caused the whole pig to be swallowed up with a slippery head. After doing this, Xia En also knocked on the iron door with her staff. In order to get some clues from the iron gate. After knocking for a while, Jen En also felt that the back of an iron door was empty. Xia En was also very happy and quickly concentrated her power on the staff. Then Xia En hit hard. The skull was in contact with that place. Just hearing a roar, the iron door automatically moved to both sides. Afterwards, Xia En left here smoothly. When leaving, Xia En did not retreat quickly. Instead, he stood there and thought for a while, feeling lost. Then, Xia En thrust the staff into the ground hard. Many traps were laid around, waiting for the arrival of the cannibal tribe chief and his people. As long as the chief of the cannibal tribe and his people come here, they will definitely fight for it. In the process of using it to fight, there will inevitably be casualties. And Xia En can also take advantage of this opportunity to conduct a sneak attack. If the attack fails, they will retreat quickly, and then look for other opportunities to get rid of all the cannibal tribes as early as possible. After getting rid of these people, we can go to Frieza to settle the score. Now when Xia En thinks of Frieza, her teeth itch with hatred. In the past, Xia En also searched for Frieza many times. Frieza is as slippery as a loach. I was able to escape early every time, and I couldn't catch him every time. Chapter 230 Never seen Xia En. Advertise here. If it weren't for the previous leader of the Blackpool Pirates who gave him guidance, Xia En really wouldn't have been able to find Frieza quickly. Finally, Xia En was ready to find an opportunity to completely eliminate Frieza. That way, you can prevent yourself from being attacked by Frieza again in the future. Geringer has not seen Xia En for a long time. Before, Xia En had clearly told him that she would be back in a few days. But nearly a month has passed and there is still no trace of Xia En. Later, Geiger also started to think about it. Prepare to look for Xia En and try to find Xia En. If Xia En is in danger, he can help rescue Xia En and escape. If Xia En is fine, he can also help Xia En. Because she hasn't been back for a long time, Xia En must have encountered something difficult to deal with. After arriving here, Geringer immediately decided to set off without any hesitation. I'm afraid that if I delay for too long, something will go wrong. Just like that, he left here quickly. But on this day, he actually met Frieza. When he saw Frieza, Geringer was also very angry. Because Frieza's guys have been coming to make trouble for them before. And last time, Xia En also left to find Frieza. Frieza is fine now. So where did Xia En go? Frieza was also stunned for a moment, and then smiled. At this moment, Geringer also spoke to Frieza in a cold voice. You hateful guy, tell me quickly where Xia En has gone. After saying this, he looked at Frieza coldly, waiting for Frieza's answer. Frieza also laughed twice after hearing Geilinger's question. Then, he spoke to Geringer. It's impossible for you to find Xia En now. Because Xia En is already dead, and died extremely miserably. When people look at it, they feel goosebumps all over their bodies. Quote. After saying this, he laughed again. When Geringer heard what Frieza said, of course he didn't believe it. Xia En is so strong, even if she dies, she can't die so quietly. Please give me flowers. Then, he also said to Frieza and Taguchi viciously. Hurry up and answer my questions truthfully, otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. After saying this, he looked at Frieza coldly. After hearing what Geilinger said, Frieza spread his hands and pretended to be helpless. I'm telling the truth, but you still don't believe me. 0. It really disappoints me. Believe it or not, what I told you is all true. Okay, I won't talk to you anymore, I will leave next. Quote. After saying this, Frezzafu prepared to pass by Geringer. But how could Geringer let Frieza leave easily? Regardless of whether Xia En is dead or not, this matter ultimately has something to do with Frieza. If Xia En hadn't learned the news about Frieza, she wouldn't have pursued Frieza. Then Xia En will not be missing. Then, he quickly punched out. Frieza was also waiting vigilantly. He believed that Geringer would never let him go so easily. Chapter 231 You are quite despicable. Advertise here. Just as he expected, Geilinger actually took this opportunity to attack him. Then, he also spoke to Geringer coldly. Gelinger, you are quite despicable. He actually took advantage of this moment to attack me, which was really a bit incomprehensible. After hearing Frieza's words, Geringer was not prepared to say anything to Frieza. He now only wants to kill Frieza. 963. Never mind what situation Xia En is in now. As long as he catches Frieza and teaches him a lesson. I believe this guy will definitely reveal all the information about Xia En. In that case, it can save some time and he will not have to look for it again. Seeing that Geilinger did not answer him, but continued to attack him. Frieza was also furious. Then he swung out the Kekayo fist fiercely, and Frieza saw this and quickly used Mikujutsu to fly into the sky. At this moment, the magic-piercing light-killing cannon is also being fired continuously. Frieza quickly dodged left and right to avoid the attack of the demonic light-killing cannon. When the demonic light-killing cannon was used, Geringer deliberately took a trick. He let the demonic light-killing cannon stand still in midair for half a second. And he himself took advantage of this time to quickly ascend and arrive behind Frieza. With a Kaio punch, he was about to knock him away. Frieza is not a vegetarian either. When he saw Geilinger making a move, he roughly guessed what Geilinger would do next. Then he slapped Geringer in the face. Geringer was also angry. Then, he showed a bloodthirsty smile. At this time, he didn't care whether he was injured or not, and his fist was hitting Frieza's heart. And Frieza's hand was slapping his face. He was now going to trade injuries for injuries with Frieza. After Frieza realized Geilinger's intention, he hurriedly stepped back. After he retreated a long distance. He also quickly scattered all the demon-piercing light-killing cannons that were flying down from the sky. Then he looked at Geringer in front of him indifferently. He felt that Geilinger was a madman, a complete madman. If he hadn't reacted in time just now, both of them would have suffered losses. Sensing that Frieza wanted to retreat, Geilinger took this opportunity to question Frieza. Frieza, please tell me some information about Xia En. As long as you tell me the news about Xia En, I will never embarrass you. I, Geringer, keep my word. Quote. After saying this, he stretched out his left hand and made an oath to heaven. Seeing Geilinger's appearance, Frieza was also a little confused. He is also considering whether to tell Geilinger the news. If he really told him at this time, then Xia En might be rescued. As long as Xia En is rescued, he will still be in trouble. But if he didn't say it out loud, Geringer would never let him leave 3.1. This guy will definitely continue to stalk and fight with himself. After thinking of this, he sighed and made a decision. That is to tell Geilinger the news about Xia En. Xia En's life and death are now extremely uncertain. It may have been eaten by the chief of the cannibal tribe. Therefore, it is not a big problem to talk to Geringer about this matter. Chapter 232 Answer truthfully. Advertise here. If Xia En is not dead, the worst he can do is stop provoking Xia En and Geringer from now on. As long as I can leave quickly today. After thinking of this, he pretended to be immersed in it for a moment. Sensing Frieza's hesitation, Geringer frowned and spoke to Frieza. Answer truthfully and I can let you go. But if you continue to prevaricate me, then don't blame me for being rude to you. Quote. After saying this, he stared at Frieza coldly. After hearing what Geilinger said, Frieza knew that he had to say something today. Then, he spoke to Geringer. Xia En's disappearance has nothing to do with me. This guy is extremely stupid. 15. He actually went to the cannibal tribe. Think of the cannibal tribe as a tribe of primitive people. Resting there, he was tricked by the humans from the god of cookery tribe. He may be locked up now. As for whether he was eaten or whether he was excreted, I have no way of knowing. Quote. After saying this, he spread his hands and left. However, Geringer stood in front of Frieza for a moment. When Frieza saw Geilinger continuing to block him, he became a little angry. Then he faced Geringer coldly and asked, "Why are you still stopping me? I have told you all the news. If you continue to be shameless, don't blame me for being rude to you." After hearing Frieza's words, Geringer was not angry. He just asked Frieza softly, "Then do you know where the cannibal tribe is?" After saying this, he waited for Frieza's answer. Frieza also rolled his eyes after hearing what Geilinger said. Then he spoke to Geringer. "You won't investigate this matter yourself, so why do you have to ask me?" "I won't tell you. I finally escaped from Xia En. I will tell you all the information." Quote. "You will definitely be able to rescue Xia En easily without Xia En being dead. I'll have to run around then. I don't want this kind of life. You can find it yourself." Quote. After saying this, Frieza also left quickly. Geringer prepared to intercept, but the guy in front was also prepared, so he didn't catch it. After thinking for a while, Geringer also decided to go and have a look at the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. Previously, it was the pirates under the leader of the Blackpool Pirates who informed Xia En about Frieza. In this case, Xia En will definitely go to the Blackpool Pirates 160th to discuss the matter with the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. After thinking of this, he was ready to search for the area near the Blackpool Pirates. In this way, Geringer embarked on the road to find Xia En without stopping. When Geringer left, a figure also appeared from behind a nearby tree. Even though it was Frieza, Frieza also hesitated at this time. He was thinking whether he should follow Geringer to see Xia En's situation. After thinking about it for a long time, he was ready to take a look. If you have the opportunity to take action against Xia En, then you must take action. Chapter 233 Missing. Advertise here. If you don't have the chance, it's not bad to just hide in the dark and watch the cannibal tribe, and fight with Geringer and Xia En. Then he quietly followed Geringer and moved forward. At this time, Geringer also came to the place where the Blackpool Pirates had stayed. After arriving here, he frowned and looked around. Then I also discovered that there were no signs of anyone staying here. This made him very confused. He had also been here before to meet the leader of the Blackpool Pirates. But why is the leader of the Blackpool Pirates missing now? Could it be that the leader of the Blackpool Pirates escaped in a hurry after plotting against Xia En? This is the only thing to do at this time. Geringer also spread to the surroundings along the location where the Blackpool Pirates were before. Prepare to use this as a base point to search outside. After searching for a while, Geringer also came to a small island. After seeing the situation on the island, Geringer started exploring here. The island he was on at the moment was only 1 nautical mile away from Xia En's location. As for Xia En, she has also come out of the underground. Sitting there waiting for the cannibal tribe to appear. After waiting left and right, Xia En only saw a head emerging from the hole. When Xia En saw this, he was also preparing to use the magic piercing light killing cannon to kill him. But then I thought about it and realized that this guy must be a pathfinder forward. If he is killed, those in the rear will definitely know that he is ambushing nearby. In that case, I wouldn't be able to kill them all. After thinking of this, Xia En also held back her murderous intention. Then he waited there, wanting to see what decision these guys should make. After looking around, the head also retreated to the passage. After just a while, noisy sounds came from inside. It was still the chief of the cannibal tribe who took the lead, followed closely by the other tribesmen. When he came to the front of the staff, the chief of the cannibal tribe also stopped in his tracks. After looking around and finding no trace of Xia En, he spoke to a tribesman next to him. "Go and get that staff back for me." After hearing the words of the chief of the cannibal tribe, one of the tribesmen nodded quickly. He also wanted to please the chief of the cannibal tribe. Then he quickly prepared to get the staff. But just when he was about to get close to the staff, his whole body suddenly exploded, with blood and flesh splattering everywhere. After noticing this situation, the chief of the cannibal tribe also hurriedly spoke to the tribesmen next to him. Quote. Everyone, step back and don't go forward anymore. Quote. After hearing these words, the cannibals Nuomo Zhao, who had turned pale with fright, also quickly retreated. I don't dare to stay here any longer. After seeing these people retreating, Frieza also looked around. Then he spoke coldly and said, Xia En, I have found your trace, come out quickly. It's really despicable and shameless. They actually used this method to frame me. I really don't know what to say. After saying this, he also waited for the appearance of Xia En. Chapter 234. What should we do next? Advertise here. In the opinion of the chief of the cannibal tribe, Xia En would definitely not be able to bear his ridicule and come out. But unfortunately, Xia En seemed not to have heard what he said. Still hiding in the dark, watching the situation here. When the cannibal tribe chief saw Xia En not appearing, he frowned and looked ahead. Then he waved his hand forward. Powerful energy also emanated from his hands. At this time, this energy swept forward at an extremely fast speed. The imagined situation did not happen. Originally, the chief of the cannibal tribe thought that he would be able to activate all the traps by using his moves. But it is a pity that the forward did not make any movement at all. This made his brows frown tightly. A tribesman next to 243 also came forward and asked the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chief, what should we do next? After saying this, he also waited for the answer from the chief of the cannibal tribe. After hearing the tribe's inquiry, the chief of the cannibal tribe hesitated for a moment before speaking. For now, let's not get the staff. The most important thing now is to arrest this hateful guy Xia En. Quote. After hearing the words of the chief of the cannibal tribe, the tribesman nodded repeatedly. Then, he rushed forward quickly. But at this time, they once again suffered casualties. At this time, the chief of the cannibal tribe also took action quickly and brought back the men who were preparing to set off. The figure flashed and returned to the original place. Then, he became angry and shouted loudly to Xia En, who was hiding in the dark. Xia En, you despicable and shameless guy, get out of here right now. It's really annoying that you are so shameless. Seeing that Xia En had already angered the chief of the cannibal tribe, there was no need to hide anymore. Then, Xia En said coldly to the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chief of the cannibal tribe, you loser, you can't escape from those places. Just come and insult me, you BFFJ are really shameless. Quote. After saying this, Xia En also shook his head. After hearing what Xia En said, the chief of the cannibal tribe also clenched his teeth. After Xia En said these words, she also walked towards the distance. He was going to explore the cannibal tribe more carefully. In the past, the two tribe had a big house here. When Xia En was about to go, the chief of the cannibal tribe would stop him. And also said some words to prevaricate him. At that time, Xia En also saw that the other party was very kind, so she did not force her way in. Even though I was very curious about it, I didn't go there. But it's different now. These guys have provoked themselves and want to kill themselves. Then Xia En would be a bit foolish if she kept her hand. Then, Xia En waved her hand towards the cannibal tribe chief. Seeing Xia En smiling and waving her hands towards him, the chief of the cannibal tribe became even more angry. His face turned extremely red, and white smoke almost came out of his head. Xia En also rushed towards the cannibal tribe at an extremely fast speed. After entering the cannibal tribe, Xia En walked towards a big house in the cannibal tribe with ease. Chapter 235. There must be something good in it. Advertise here. The big house looks very good at first glance. There must be something good in it. So much so that the chief of the cannibal tribe wouldn't let him see it. When Xia En came to the door, she also discovered that there was an iron object placed at the door. This ironware looks like it has been aged for some time and has some rust. But Xia En still won't let down her guard. When I came to this cannibal tribe, everything was weird. Therefore, Xia En must be extremely vigilant to ensure that her life is safe. Looking at that thing, Xia En also became thoughtful. He was thinking about whether he should take some time to break this thing. After thinking about it, he decided to stop here for a while. Anyway, the cannibal tribe chief and his people must have mistakenly thought that they had left. In this case, those guys will definitely continue to deal with things near the staff. And I can take advantage of this time to destroy this thing, and then go inside to collect treasures. If there are treasures, take them all away. If there is no treasure, then burn this cannibal with a fire. Anyway, I want to do something to get revenge on these guys. Then, Xia En found a stone and placed it on the ground. Then he sat on the stone and began to deal with the very ancient-looking iron tool. This iron weapon is responsible for blocking outsiders. It can make the door of this house stronger to a certain extent. Xia En also melted a stone next to her after thinking for a while. Let it take the shape of a key. At this moment, the liquid in which the stone melts is still relatively soft and very tough. Xia En put it into the hole of the iron tool. As the cold air emitted from Xia En's hand, the stone began to take shape. Finally, something like a key was formed. Then Xia En gently broke it, and the key directly touched the mechanism in the iron. Then, after the iron gas squeaked, it began to move. The door also shook at this time. Just like that, the door of the room slowly opened. Subsequently, Xia En entered this big space minister. When Xia En just set foot here, she suddenly discovered that the flames here were all ignited in an instant. Please give me flowers. And it burned on its own. This made Xia En feel that this place was quite interesting. After the light appeared, Xia En also discovered that this place was different from ordinary houses. Wait for Xia En to look around and look at the utensils. After thinking for a moment, I realized that this place was a sacrificial place for the cannibal tribe. No wonder these guys blocked this place. For this ancient tribal sacrificial activity, it is extremely important. To them, it is like life. Afterwards, Xia En also prepared to destroy this place. Since those guys from the cannibal tribe are very optimistic about sacrifices. Then he had to destroy this place to prevent them from offering sacrifices. After thinking of this, Tianzheng slowly stepped forward. Then he slapped the table in front of him. The desk was slapped so hard by Xia En that it suddenly cracked. But it didn't break. Xia En is also very curious about this. Logically speaking, if I use such strong force, I will definitely destroy the factory here. Chapter 236 Why not just turn into crumbs? Advertise here. But why not just leave it in crumbs? Just when Xia En was confused, some misty smoke also emitted from the stone statue in front. Xia En quickly stepped back when she saw this. Everything now is very dangerous for Xia En. And these guys from the cannibal tribe have always been harming people. Either he is harming others, or he is on the way to harming others. In short, no matter what, you must be careful when coming to 663. If you are not careful, you will never get good results. This is not what Xia En wants to see. Then he looked around and hurried to the side. At this time, Xia En also suddenly discovered. A person actually appeared in front of him. To be precise, he was a person made of smoke. After seeing this human form, Xia En frowned and waited for the guy to speak. Because Xia En discovered that the guy in front of him kept moving his eyes. This also shows that this person can think and can communicate. The soul of the world also snorted coldly when he saw that Xia En was so overestimated and rushed here. Then, he said to Xia En pitifully, "Who are you, kid? Why do you appear here?" After saying this, he frowned and looked at Xia En. After hearing what the world soul said, Xia En also asked the world soul. "Before asking me my name, should you reveal yours first? Otherwise, why would I reveal my name to you?" After saying this, Xia En also snorted coldly. He felt something was wrong with the world soul guy. And this guy came out of the stone statue. This shows that this guy is related to the cannibal tribe. Things related to cannibal tribes are very disgusting in Xia En's opinion. The guy in front of me is also on this list. Therefore, Xia En did not give World Soul a good look. World Soul also smiled after hearing Xia En's words. Then, he spoke to Xia En. "You are such an arrogant child, you are so disrespectful of etiquette, but you don't care about it." After saying this, he also cleared his throat. As if revealing one's name is such an important thing. Xia En couldn't wait any longer. The guy in front of me is too verbose. Then Xia En was ready to urge the soul of the world. But before Xia En could speak to urge him, World Soul took the lead and spoke. "The soul of this god's world appears here today to punish you, a guy who doesn't respect etiquette. Now let's catch him without mercy." After saying this, the world soul fiercely moved forward and slapped a palm, preparing to slap Xia En to death. How could Xia En let the world soul succeed? I saw Xia En's figure flashing, taking 2 quick steps back, and instantly dodged World Soul 2-3's attack. The soul of the world failed to succeed, so it quickly pursued the victory and was bound to kill Xia En completely. Xia En also grinned when she saw this. Just now he had discovered the reality of the world soul. When this guy attacked him, he also deliberately avoided it. When the guy's attack hit the ground, it didn't have any impact on the ground. This can show that this person's attack has no physical effect. Chapter 237 Quick Dodge. Advertise here. If the guess is correct, this person should be attacking the soul. Finally, Xia En dodged quickly. It doesn't matter what kind of attack this guy in front of him is, as long as he can avoid the attacks of the world soul. Then you can avoid any harm. The soul of the world was also very angry when he saw Xia En responding to avoid. Then, he also spoke to Xia En coldly. "You are such a shameless kid. Don't you dare to compete with me head on." 18. Since you said it was so powerful, why are you still dodging back and forth at this time? After saying this, he stared at Xia En angrily. Xia En also smiled after hearing what World Soul said. Then he taunted the World Soul. "Am I going to stand here and let you slaughter me? If that's the case, then I'm a little too stupid. When fighting with others, don't waste words. If you have the ability, just show the truth. People who have no ability will keep shouting there. You guys are making irresponsible remarks. Are you pretending to be fake even though you have no strength? It seems that you are not that strong. It turns out that you are just a faggot." Quote. After saying this, he also burst out laughing. After hearing what Xia En said, World Soul gritted his teeth and glared at Xia En fiercely. Then, he spoke to Xia En. Xia En, it seems that you don't want to escape from my hands alive. This god will definitely kill you today. Quote. Xia En couldn't stand this guy talking to himself anymore. Then he spoke coldly to the guy in front of him. Don't call me God. You, a loser, dare to call yourself God. He's just a lonely ghost. After being sacrificed by this stupid cannibal tribe, I started to feel self-righteous. I really don't know where your confidence comes from. It really makes me look down on you. After hearing what Xia En said, World Soul gritted his teeth in anger. He didn't expect that the guy in front of him would actually say that about himself. This was really outrageous. Then he was not ready to talk to Xia En anymore. He was prepared to use all his strength to kill or devour Xia En. After careful consideration, he decided to devour Xia En. Xia En's strength is pretty good. If Xia En can be swallowed, its power will be doubled. After that, you no longer have to be controlled by those primitive tribesmen. He can easily find things that can improve his strength. Although the people of the cannibal tribe value him very much and often provide sacrifices to him. But those sacrificial objects still did not meet the needs of the soul of the world. Therefore, the soul of the world must be stronger so that it can plunder powerful power on its own. It just so happens that this guy Xia En can be his puppet. Afterwards, he was also ready to devour Xia En's soul and control Xia En's body. But Xia En was not so easy to deal with, and the two of them were in a stalemate for a while. No one can do anything about it, how can you be so kind? After noticing this situation, Xia En stretched deeply. Then, he was ready to leave. The soul of the world also blocked Xia En. He didn't want Changxi to leave just like that. Chapter 238 Soul of the World. Advertise here. It's not easy to choose such a good person, but if Xia En is allowed to leave so easily, then he will definitely regret it for the rest of his life. Then, he also showed a kind smile. Xia En also felt very hypocritical after seeing the world soul smile. This guy's eyes are blue, and his body is also extremely unreal. His smile not only failed to make people completely trust him, but made them even more suspicious of him. Sensing Xia En's vigilance, the world soul also spoke to Xia En. Xia En, since we belong we can't do anything to each other. Then don't fight anymore. I need your help here. As long as you can rescue me, I will definitely thank you after this. And provide you with strength supplies. Quote. After saying this, he also grinned. After hearing what the world soul said, Xia En also frowned and asked the world soul. Aren't you a god here? And he also said that you can often receive sacrifices from the chiefs of the cannibal tribe. Why do you want to leave? Please tell me what's going on. After saying this, he was also waiting for the answer from the soul of the world. Xia En is the master who does not let go of the eagle when she sees the rabbit. Since the guy in front of me said what he just said, he must have some basis for it. Otherwise, Xia En would not help this hateful guy in front of her. After hearing Xia En's inquiry, World Soul was extremely helpless. He didn't expect that Xia En was so difficult to fool. After pondering for a moment, he spoke to Xia En. Actually, I used to be just a fisherman here. I usually go fishing at sea, but at a certain time when the weather is very bad. I'm also going to go out and catch some fish. Quote. I was forced by life, so I had no choice but to take risks and go, but in the end I never came back. Somehow, the bones were picked up by these cannibals. They saw that my body was not rotten, so they trapped me in a stone statue. Then they began to offer sacrifices to show their sincerity to the gods. Although, I can receive the blessing of their faith. But I am often affected by their distracting thoughts, so that I am now very irritable. That's why I want your help. Quote. After saying this, he looked at Xia En expectantly. After hearing the words of World Soul, Xia En suddenly realized. Then he spoke to the other party. Quote. If that's the case, then why don't you communicate with them yourself? Why do you have to go through me? I also have to doubt your insidiousness. Quote. After saying this, he looked at the soul of the world coldly. The soul of the world was not fooled when he saw Xia En. He was also furious in an instant. Nuo Qian Zhao. Then his true face was exposed. Then, he also spoke to Xia En indifferently. Hurry up and help me rescue me. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. Quote. After saying this, he stared at Xia En with a sinister expression. After hearing what World Soul said, Xia En also laughed twice. Then he spoke to the soul of the world. Chapter 239 It turns out you are fooling me. Advertise here. You almost fooled me, I thought what you said was true. It turns out you were fooling me. No wonder, I always feel that this story is quite bloody. Quote. After saying this, Xia En Fu was ready to leave. Seeing Xia En take action, World Soul can no longer hesitate. Then he flashed and stood in front of Xia En. Xia En was also very angry when he saw this guy standing in front of him again. Then, he spoke coldly to the soul of the world. I didn't yell at you to kill you, which is already very good. If you dare to stop me 843 again, don't blame me for being rude to you. After saying this, he looked at the world soul in front of him fiercely. World Soul also smiled after hearing Xia En's words. Then he taunted Xia En. You guys are really ignorant. I was just stalling for your time just now. I didn't expect that you actually believed it, and you really thought that I was not as strong as you. Next, I'm sorry, I will erase you. Quote. After saying this, Xia quickly flew forward and launched an attack on Xia En. It can be said that he no longer cares whether Xia En is powerful or not. He must now obliterate Xia En to ensure that he can leave here quickly. When Xia En saw the soul of the world, he was so confused. He didn't hold back either. In this way, the two started to fight at this place of worship. The next two people also refused to let anyone go. The entire sacrificial house was also completely destroyed. After the two of them fought for a while, the world soul was fully prepared. This place of worship is his territory. Therefore, he also knew how to use the terrain here to complete the purpose of killing Xia En. Then, he quickly spread his arms to condense the formation here. Then he stared at Xia En pitifully. After Xia En noticed the sight of the world soul, she also snorted coldly. Then, he yelled at the soul of the world. If you want to fight, then fight. If you can't fight, you have to kneel down and beg for mercy. Don't pretend to be reserved, as if you are sure of victory. Quote. After saying this, Xia En curled her lips. After hearing Xia En's words, World Soul also snorted coldly. Then he spoke to Xia En. I really don't know what to say. It seems that I will definitely kill you next. After saying this, he quickly moved and launched a fierce attack on Xia En. And Xia En is not to be outdone. Originally, I was prepared to make peace with the guy in front of me. But I didn't expect that the guy on the other side was still unwilling to give up. Xia En was not prepared to continue talking. Just like that, the two started fighting again. The soul of the world also took the opportunity to trap Xia En there. After Xia En realized that she couldn't move, she frowned and looked at the soul of the world. At this time, World Soul also laughed twice. Then he taunted Xia En. You didn't expect that I still have a hand left, and then you will be devoured by me. After saying this, the soul of the world slowly moved forward. Chapter 240 Becoming more scattered. Advertise here. In just a short time, he was also attached to Xia En's body. Originally it was composed of aerosol, but now it has become more dispersed. Then he wrapped Xia En in it, hoping to devour Xia En's soul. After Xia En noticed the movements of World Soul, she also guessed his inner thoughts. Then he looked at his nose, and mind, closed his eyes directly, and stored his power in his body. Guard the soul in your body tightly. Prevent the World Soul from causing harm to yourself. World Soul also never thought that this guy Xia En could be so tolerant. It's really interesting that I can corrode his soul like this, but I can't monitor him at all. Then he also increased the output of his power, preparing to draw out the opponent's penis. In that case, Xia En will no longer be able to defend. And Xia En is also waiting for the soul of the world to do this. Because as long as the world soul does this, he will have the opportunity to devour the power of the world soul. With this thought in mind, Xia En also began to pretend that she was about to be swallowed by the soul of the world. The soul of the world was extremely excited after seeing Xia En showing such a look. Afterwards, he also quickly increased the power star output. This time the power was even stronger than the last time. Then he began to wrap Xia En's body with power and devour it. But at this moment, a sudden change occurred, and Xia En suddenly stood up. Later, all the power was absorbed into Xia En's body. At this time, the soul of the world, which had lost its power, also retreated in horror. Then he wanted to return to the stone statue. After seeing the other party's appearance, Xia En also laughed twice. Then he taunted the world soul. Since they all want to attack me, they still want to beg for mercy. I really don't know what to say. Just leave me here now. Quote. After saying these words, Xia En grabbed the neck of the soul of the world. The soul of the world is also struggling at this time. Xia En also said coldly at this moment. If you dare to struggle again, I will not let you die happily, but torture you. After hearing Xia En's words, the soul of the world instantly became quiet and did not dare to struggle anymore. Zero, please ask for flowers. After seeing the other party's appearance, Xia En nodded with satisfaction. Then he was ready to take action. After the world soul noticed Xia En's movements, it also hurriedly begged for mercy to Xia En. Xia En, please spare me. I was just a lard that was blinded by lard. I don't want to continue fighting with you, and I ask you to be merciful. Spare my life. From now on, I am willing to surrender to you and serve you. Oh, by the way, there are also those hateful cannibal tribes. I must destroy them to vent your anger. Quote. After saying this, World Soul also showed a flattering smile. After hearing what World Soul said, Xia En also smiled softly. Then he spoke to the soul of the world. I don't believe anything you say. In the past, he also made up stories to deceive me. Now that you have started to say such things again, I don't believe you at all now. You'd better die as soon as possible. Chapter 241 The soul of the world is swallowed by Xia En. Advertise here. After saying this, Xia En exerted a strong force. Then he rolled the soul of the world into a ball and put it into his mouth. The soul of the world also wailed and was swallowed by Xia En. After Xia En swallowed the soul of the world, she did not leave immediately. Because he felt that the power of world soul was a bit weird. If it is not refined properly, it will definitely be affected by its 733. In this way, Xia En quickly sat there cross-legged and began to refine the power of the world soul. The chief of the cannibal tribe also froze suddenly. Because he felt that he had lost contact with the soul of the world. Then he shouted quickly, "Hurry and follow me back to the place of worship." After saying this, he hurried back along the passage. Those tribesmen didn't know what the chief of the cannibal tribe meant. But they also ran back one by one. Soon, they arrived outside the ruined house used for worship. Looking at Xia En sitting there cross-legged, these cannibals also became crazy. They never thought that Xia En would come here to cause damage while they were not paying attention. This is so infuriating. Then, the chief of the cannibal tribe also gritted his teeth and spoke to his tribesmen. "We went together and then devoured Xia En alive and ground his bones into powder." After hearing the words of the chief of the cannibal tribe, the tribesmen also took action instantly. He showed a ferocious smile and rushed forward. Geilinger, on the other hand, found Xia En's power after finding some distance on the island. In the end, he suddenly discovered that there was an island on the left side. Xia En's fluctuations were heard on the island. Afterwards, Geringer rushed towards that place at an extremely fast speed. He discovered that Xia En must be here. In just a short time, he arrived at the island where Xia En stayed. After arriving here, he looked around, trying to find Xia En. But at this moment, he suddenly heard noisy footsteps. Then Geringer also climbed up several feet and looked down from the sky. 0. Then he found a group of guys who looked like primitive people, cautiously rushing towards a house. Then, he also recalled what Frieza said before. Frieza made it clear that Xia En was in conflict with the cannibal tribe. And those people from the cannibal tribe are also very powerful. After seeing the guys below, Geringer instantly understood what was going on. He blocked the door in a flash. Just in time to keep out the members of the cannibal tribe. After these cannibals noticed Geilinger's movements, they looked at Geilinger angrily. In their view, Geringer was causing trouble if he dared to come here to block the road. Then, they all turned their heads to look at the cannibal tribe chief. "I'd like to hear Geringer's opinion." The chief of the cannibal tribe frowned instantly after seeing Geilinger. Then, he also spoke loudly to those tribesmen. "Don't hold back, kill him as well next. If you dare to block the road, you must be prepared to die." Chapter 242 No Fear at All. Advertise here. After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, the cannibals immediately launched an attack on Geilinger. Geringer was not afraid at all when he saw this. Then he punched one after another. Those ogres were also beaten back one after another by him. Then, he quickly looked inside. I found Xia En sitting cross-legged inside, and her breath was a little unstable. A discerning person can tell at a glance that Xia En is practicing. Then, Galen turned his head and stared at the people in front of him with a serious face. Prepare to protect Xia En well at this time and wait for Xia En to complete her cultivation. Just wait for Xia En to finish practicing. Then the situation here is not up to him to handle. Then, he waited for those people to rush forward again. The chief of the cannibal tribe was also aware of Geilinger's power. But he was not prepared to let his people back down. At this moment, he must cut through the mess quickly and kill Geilinger. Then deal with Xia En. Otherwise, when Xia En wakes up, they will suffer a disaster. Then, the chief of the cannibal tribe began to order the tribesmen to launch an attack on Geilinger. At this time, Geringer also looked at the guys in front of him with a half-smile. Then he punched one after another, and after knocking him back, Geilinger also discovered an incredible situation. That is, even one punch of his own can seriously injure Frieza. But when they beat these ordinary cannibal tribesmen, these guys just stepped back and staggered. Then he comes back to continue fighting with himself, which is completely unreasonable. This made Geringer suspicious. The chief of the cannibal tribe could do nothing to Geilinger for a while. Then he said to Geringer in a cold voice, "Who is your excellency? Why are you blocking here? Don't you know that I am a life or death enemy with Xia En?" After hearing the words of the cannibal tribe chief, Geilinger also smiled coldly. Then he spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. "Of course I know it. After knowing it, I came here. Xia En is my friend. And you want to eat my friend's flesh and blood. Of course I'm going to come here to fight with you. So, it's better not to show off your words and fight if you want. I will never let you go." Quote. After hearing what Geilinger said, the chief of the cannibal tribe also knew that this guy in front of him would be difficult to deal with. Then he asked his tribesmen to retreat first. Let's compete with Geringer first. If it really doesn't work, let the crowd rise up and attack. 1963 Then, the chief of the cannibal tribe quickly flew forward. Because he lost his staff, he could only rely on his flesh and blood to fight against Geringer. What Geringer is least afraid of is close combat with others. Seeing that this guy was stupid enough to rush over and attack him. He also showed an extremely cold smile. Then he slapped his palm and hit the chief of the cannibal tribe hard on the chest. Although the chief of the cannibal tribe is very powerful. But his physique is not that strong because he is already very old. Therefore, the bones are also very crispy. He almost lost his breath after being slapped on the body by Geringer. Chapter 243 Get out of here. Advertise here. When Geilinger saw that the chief of the cannibal tribe was so rubbish, he also spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. In that case, trash, stop being so arrogant and get out of here. In that case, I can spare your life. Quote. After saying this, Geringer also smiled coldly. The chief of the cannibal tribe also glanced at Xia En unwillingly. He thought that his side could easily kill Xia En. If Geringer hadn't come, he would have won. But that hateful guy, Geringer, suddenly appeared and blocked his way. This is so hateful. After thinking of this, he also asked Geringer coldly. Are you sure you want to fight us? Haven't you thought about the consequences? After saying this, he looked coldly at Xia En behind Geringer. He planned to use words first to make Geringer lose his vigilance. At that time, he can quickly dodge behind Geringer and kill Xia En. In that case, his idea can be realized. When the time comes, even if Geilinger attacks him and others like crazy, he will not be afraid at all. But Geringer was not the careless type. When he noticed the sight of the cannibal tribe chief, he already knew the thoughts of the cannibal tribe chief. Then, he spoke to the chief of the cannibal tribe. Chief of the cannibal tribe, don't think about those conspiracies. I will never let you touch Xia En. Now that I'm here, just stand there honestly. Don't think that I will be careless. After hearing Geilinger's words, the cannibal tribe chief's little thoughts came to nothing in an instant. Then he gritted his teeth and looked at Geringer. After waiting for a while, he also knew that he had to take action. Whether you are injured or killed, you must make a choice. Whether to attack or to escape, you must make a decision quickly, and you cannot delay it any longer. After pondering for a long time, he was ready to use all his strength to resist Geringer. While Geringer was at a disadvantage, he took action against Xia En. Then, the chief of the cannibal tribe gave instructions to the tribesmen. After learning the thoughts of the cannibal tribe chief, many tribesmen nodded one after another. Then, they also took action against Geringer. Geringer was a little overwhelmed for a moment, thinking that there were too many people on the other side. These guys are like ants, constantly attacking here. Seeing Geringer start to look troubled, the chief of the cannibal tribe also became relaxed. Then, he also flashed and came to Xia En. He stretched out his hand and prepared to twist Xia En's neck off. At this moment, he found that Xia En did not use his hands to help, so he turned his head. At this moment, Xia En was looking at the cannibal tribe chief with a smile. Although, Xia En thinks her smile is very kind. But in the eyes of the chief of the cannibal tribe, it was like a monster slaughtering millions of creatures, pretending to be compassionate. Then, he quickly ran away into the distance. Xia En also sneered when she saw this. This guy tried to kill himself over and over again. If he was allowed to escape again, it would be hard to explain. Chapter 244 Intercepting the chief of the cannibal tribe. Advertise here. Then, Xia En quickly flew forward, preparing to intercept the cannibal tribe chief. But just when Xia En's hand was about to touch the back of the cannibal tribe chief, the chief of the cannibal tribe retreated backwards in an instant. Xia En also didn't expect that the chief of the cannibal tribe was ready to die on his own initiative. Just when Xia En came into contact with the chief of the cannibal tribe, Xia En discovered something was wrong. When he took a closer look, where was the chief of the cannibal tribe? Is this obviously an ordinary tribesman? The chief of the cannibal tribe didn't know where he was at this moment. He also changed places with an injured tribesman just now. Moreover, the injuries on that guy's body were also transferred to his body. But luckily he was able to save his life. These injuries didn't matter. Xia En also sighed with great pity. He thought he could kill Xiaogui. But unexpectedly, the chief of the cannibal tribe survived. This is really disappointing. After shaking his head, he turned his head and looked at Geilinger who was fighting there. Then Xia En spoke to Geringer. Geringer, please step back and let me deal with these guys. After hearing Xia En's words, Geilinger nodded slightly. He knew that Xia En must be very angry when she was surrounded and attacked by these guys. At this time, it is indeed time for Xia En to express her anger. Just like that, he also retreated to one level. Xia En just took care of Geringer's presence, so she didn't use a large-scale attack. But it's different now. Now that Geringer has stepped aside, he can use his full strength. Then, Xia En stretched out her left hand and raised it high. In just a moment, a black substance appeared in his hand. This black substance slowly floated into the sky. CCFG. Then, there was a rumbling sound in the sky. I saw a huge meteorite falling downwards. The members of the cannibal tribe also hurriedly fled away. Although Xia En's movements just now were slow, it was actually just a move that was launched in the blink of an eye. These guys didn't react at all, and they were hit by the huge meteorite. After doing this, Xia En also smiled. Then he stretched and walked to the side. After arriving in front of Geilinger, Xia En spoke to Geilinger. Geilinger, why are you trying to find me? After saying this, Xia En also looked at Geilinger curiously, waiting for Geilinger to retreat. After hearing Xia En's inquiry, Geringer told Xia En everything like he was pouring beans into a bamboo tube. After hearing what the other party told her, Xia En suddenly realized. It turns out that this matter has something to do with Frieza. Then, Xia En spoke to Geringer. Next, we have to plan carefully. Frieza must be eliminated this time. Quote. After saying this, Xia En slowly walked forward. After hearing Xia En's words, Geringer was also very surprised. Logically speaking, since it was Frieza who helped, it should be thanks to Frieza. Why are you starting to attack Frieza again? Chapter 245 Walking forward side by side with Xia En. Advertise here. Then, he quickened his pace, came to Xia En's side, and walked forward side by side with Xia En. While walking, he also asked Xia En. Xia En, it stands to reason that Frieza told me your news. So I came here to support, you should be thanked. Why do you want to go after Frieza again? Could it be that Frieza offended you before and you still weren't ready to let him go? After saying this, he looked at Xia En curiously, waiting for Xia En's answer. After hearing Geringer's question, Xia En rolled her eyes angrily. Then he turned to Geringer helplessly and said, you really believed his lies. That guy cooperated with the chief of the cannibal tribe to arrest me before. Without him, I would have escaped long ago. When I was about to escape, this guy attacked me and injured me. The chief of the cannibal tribe cooperated with him again, and I was caught. So, do you think he is a good person? After hearing Xia En's words, Geringer suddenly woke up. Then, he also spoke to Xia En angrily. Then what are you waiting for? We must get rid of this hateful guy. After hearing what Geilinger said, Xia En also nodded lightly. Then he spoke. Okay, then the two of us will set off immediately. After saying this, Xia En and Geringer ran quickly. After a period of action, Xia En and Geringer also left the island. Frieza was also following closely behind the two. He found that there was something wrong with the route of the two of them. They were moving here and there. But he didn't think much about it. Just kept following Xia En and Geringer. After landing on the island, Frieza did not go there immediately, but hid himself. He was afraid that Xia En and Geringer would notice him. Xia En and Geringer also stopped on the island. Then, Xia En spoke to Geringer. Get ready, that guy is following you all the time. After hearing Xia En's words, Geilinger nodded slightly. Please give me flowers. In fact, Geringer already knew that Frieza was following him before. But at that time, because I always wanted to rescue Xia En. Therefore, he didn't take action so quickly. As long as Frieza didn't take action, he would pretend he didn't see it. Now Xia En is rescued. The two of them worked together and were able to easily destroy Frieza. Therefore, there is no need to worry about Frieza escaping. With this idea in mind, Xia En and Geringer also set many traps on this island. In short, as long as there are traps that have appeared in the world, they are all here. The 5-flowered 8-gate ones make people's scalp numb just by looking at them. After doing this, Chang'an said to Geilinger. How about you go out to lure the enemy next? Or should I go and lure the enemy? After hearing Xia En's words, Geringer frowned and thought for a while. Then he spoke to Xia En. It's better for me to go and pretend to leave here. Then he will definitely be curious about what you are doing here. Chapter 246 I will definitely come here. Advertise here. So I will definitely come here. After he enters the island, I will appear from the darkness and try to cut off his escape route. In that case, he will definitely be able to be easily wiped out. Quote. After hearing what Geilinger said, Xia En nodded with satisfaction. Then he spoke to Geringer. Okay, then don't be nagging, and you can set off quickly. Let the 947 kill him as early as possible. Quote. After hearing Xia En's words, Geringer nodded one after another. Then he rushed towards the outside of the island at an extremely fast speed. Frieza was outside the island and watched helplessly as Geilinger left in a hurry. As if something important had happened, he was in an extremely hurry. This made Frieza very curious. He was also curious about what Xia En and Geilinger encountered on this island. Why is it in such a hurry? Could it be that these two people encountered some treasure? Because they didn't have any tools. So, the group will leave one person to find an employee to reconcile. After thinking of this, he became excited instantly. Then, he rushed forward at an extremely fast speed. In his opinion, he would have a chance to get the treasure next. Geilinger left, and this guy Xia En had been fighting the enemy for so long. There will definitely be a loss in strength. He can take advantage of the opponent's weakness to seize the opportunity. With this idea in mind, he also rushed towards the island at an extremely fast speed. Xia En is waiting on the island. He also smiled. And Geringer, who seemed to have left outside, also raised the corners of his mouth slightly. Xia En and Geringer also blocked Frieza's way of life. Next, Frieza can only fall into the trap. Afterwards, Xia En leaned against the tree with her arms folded, waiting for Frieza's arrival. Because Frieza believed that there was a treasure on the island, he moved extremely quickly and did not dare to delay at all. When Xia En saw Frieza arriving, she also pretended to be seriously injured. After noticing Xia En's appearance, Frieza also grinned. Then he spoke to Xia En. Xia En, you are here today. I really can't believe it. Xia En also pretended to be shocked at this moment and said. Why are you here? After hearing Xia En's inquiry, Frieza also said with a half smile. You don't have to worry about how I got here, just stay with me honestly. If you don't resist, I can spare your life. But if you resist, don't blame me for being ruthless. Quote. After hearing what Frieza said, Xia En also narrowed her eyes slightly but did not have an attack. But let's take a look at what Frieza is going to do. At this time, Frieza also looked around and then spoke to Xia En. Xia En quickly took out all the treasures you obtained. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude to you. Quote. After hearing what the other party said, Xia En also spoke to Frieza. If you want it, you can come and get it. I didn't say I wouldn't give it to you. Quote. After saying this, Xia En also showed a sarcastic smile. Chapter 247 Deceiving Felisa. Advertise here. Felisa was also very surprised when she heard Xia En ask her to go and get it. Is there any trap for Xia En? He feels that he should be more careful. Because Xia En is a cunning person. Felisa also said to Xia En extremely cautiously. I think you are a cunning person. I don't believe you can let me get the treasure easily. If you don't want to lose your life, throw the treasure to me, otherwise you will only die. Xia En did not expect that Felisa was also a smart person and started to be wary of herself. 22 Xia En also pretended to be weak and slowly spoke to Felisa. I have been seriously injured now, and I don't have the strength to throw the treasure to you. That's why I asked you to come and get it. How can I lie to you now that I've reached this point? Felisa finally became suspicious and did not dare to go to Xia En to get the treasure easily. Felisa thought for a moment, thinking that since Xia En didn't have that much strength, she would throw the treasure to herself. Then he can ask Xia En to stay away from the treasure and move more than 10 meters to the side. Felisa thought so and did the same. He said to Xia En. Since you don't have the strength to throw the treasure to me, then just put the treasure on the ground. Then you walk 20 steps to the side. I believe this should not be difficult for you. After all, you were only seriously injured and didn't break your leg. Xia En never expected that Felisa had such a skill. Fortunately, I found something that could be used as a pretend treasure in advance. And he covered the fake treasure with a thick black cloth, giving people a very mysterious feeling about the treasure. Xia En pretended and took out the treasure wrapped in black cloth from her arms. Xia En showed that she looked at the fake treasure in front of her with a very nostalgic gaze. He carefully placed the fake treasure on the ground, moved it to the side little by little, and pretended to be sad. If it weren't for the difficulty of obtaining this treasure, I would be seriously injured. I can't possibly let you take advantage of it and get it so easily. Felisa felt very happy when she heard Xia En say this. This feeling of a mantis stalking a cicada and an oriole behind it is really satisfying. Xia En moved to the side and stopped when she was nearly 20 meters away. He pretended to be breathing heavily and said to Felisa. It's no longer possible. I already feel very weak just after moving such a small distance. The pain caused by the wound is 500. I really can't bear it. Felisa did not expect that Xia En would be so vulnerable. He also showed contempt and said to Xia En. I always thought you were a powerful character. So much so that I never thought that you would be a person who has trouble even moving a few steps now. This is really unacceptable. I really can't hold back my laughter at you. After Felisa finished saying this, she also burst out laughing. Gaiglin, who was squatting on the side, was also waiting for an opportunity. He wanted to catch Felisa off guard. Chapter 248 Secretly Scolding Felisa. Advertise here. And when he heard Felisa mocking Xia En, he also secretly cursed Felisa in his heart. Felisa is so stupid that he is still taunting Xia En here. It seems that he will be obliterated here today. Gaiglin was always paying attention to Felisa's every move. He was afraid that he missed the best opportunity to seriously injure Felisa because of his own negligence. Finally, at the moment when Felisa slowly walked towards the treasure, Gaiglin felt that his chance had come. While Felisa walked towards the treasure step by step, she still did not forget to pay attention to Xia En's reaction. Xia En also discovered that Felisa was paying attention to her, so she still pretended to be injured and weak. When Felisa saw Xia En's reaction, she breathed a sigh of relief and stopped paying attention to Xia En. He also took a step forward and picked up the treasure. He wanted to see what kind of treasure it was. He also wanted to know how precious this treasure was, so that Xia En could get it despite being so seriously injured. Felisa found that the treasure was wrapped very tightly, and he needed to carefully dismantle it. And at this moment, Gaiglin, who was hiding aside, felt that the time had come. He felt that if he took action now, Felisa would be caught off guard, leaving him unable to fight back. Gaiglin also quietly stood up and approached Felisa's back. He also cast a questioning look at Xia En, indicating whether Xia En could take action now. Of course Xia En could understand what Gaiglin meant, and he nodded to Gaiglin, indicating that the matter could proceed. Xia En wanted to wait until Gaiglin and herself were about the same distance from Felisa before taking action. Because he was afraid that at this critical moment, Felisa would have any doubts, which would lead to the failure of their plan. While Felisa was removing the cloth wrapping the treasure, she couldn't help but complain to Xia En. You wrapped this treasure too tightly, as if you were afraid of someone stealing it. Quote. Xia En couldn't help but rolled her eyes at Felisa and said to Felisa. Such an important treasure must be wrapped tightly. If someone discovers this treasure of mine, they will miss it. I won't allow this to happen. Xia En's words aroused Felisa's curiosity even more. He found that it couldn't be removed by hand, so he decided to destroy this layer of fabric. Felisa took out his dagger from his waist and made a sharp cut on the cloth. This also saved a lot of trouble, and Felisa also laughed happily. If I had known this, I should have taken out the dagger earlier. I must have been confused by wanting the treasure. Just when Gaeglin was getting closer, Felisa also discovered through his dagger that a figure was approaching Chen Chen. He secretly thought that something was wrong, he had fallen into Xia En's, Good Zhao's trap, and he had to find a way to get out. So Felisa remained calm and walked farther away from them. Felisa felt that she should say something to attract their attention, so she pretended to say it while walking. Quote. This box containing the treasure looks a little dirty. Let me find some water to wipe it. You wait here for me and don't run around, otherwise I will make you walk around without food.